see. Okay.
Judah, okay, we're good. We got Judah. 1, 2, 3. They keep moving. Every time I try to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're good. I think we have 6 here now.
So it's good enough to start. Just do me a favor, call, what's his name? Call
Mike Shingber?
Mike Shingber to log on. If you want, I'll call, makes no difference. But in the meantime, I'm going to open up tonight's meeting and we'll move forward, okay? Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to welcome everyone to tonight's Zoom meeting, February 1st, 2021. Tonight's meeting had been advertised according to New Jersey State Sunshine Law. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Gelli. I know he's here.
Mr. Gelli is on mute.
Right.
Hold on a second. Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, gentlemen.
Mr. Lansky? Naftali?
Here.
Ribbiat's here.
Yes.
Ingber is not here yet. Mr. Gross is here.
Yeah.
Mr. Halberstam.
Yes. I'd like to ask Morty Gross to lead us in salute to the flag tonight. Morty?
Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America.
Not so fast.
Public
Which,
for which it stands,
one nation,
nation under God.
Under God, indivisible.
visible.
liberty and justice to all.
For all.
Thank you.
Now I can mute myself.
Yes. Before we continue, I'd like to just make a quick announcement. That we'd like to ask anyone who is not pertaining to any meeting that's going on, which will be moving forward, to please disconnect because you're just using up the bandwidth and it becomes very hard for others to hear or to see. So whoever is not supposed to be on this call can listen to our meeting through the township's website. And when you hear your application come on, then you can please log on. And until then, I would like to ask everyone to disconnect from this Zoom call, the Zoom meeting. Thank you. Moving forward, I'd like to have a motion for the minutes of January 4th, 2021.
Motion.
Motion from Avram Naftali. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Mayor Gelli. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Mr. Gelli.
Yes.
Here.
I hear you. What'd you say?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Ingber is not here yet. Okay. Mr.
Okay.
Gross and Mr. Halberstam.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have minutes of January 11th.
Okay. Can I have a motion for the minutes for January 11th? Can I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Avram Naftali. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second, who was that?
Judah.
Judah. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Gelli.
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Naftali.
Yes.
Mr. Ribbiat.
Yes.
Mr. Gross
Yes.
and Mr.
Yes, okay. Is any correspondence for tonight meetings, Madam Secretary?
Yes, I just received a letter from customer number 4170.
One second, before we continue again. Can I ask everyone, again, if you don't belong to this meeting, please disconnect or at least mute yourself.
I received a letter late this afternoon from Bela Unger from New Line, reference appeal number 4170, Jacob Miller. A notice went out to all the people on the 200 list, but not noticed.
And who didn't get notice?
They
I
have to
can,
renotice and carry them to March 1st meeting.
okay, so Jacob Miller was not noticed properly, is that what she's saying?
That is correct.
And is that correct with your office, Madam Secretary?
Yes, the newspaper did not publish the notice, but the people on the list, the 200-foot list got the notice.
but it wasn't
So they
published
have
under
to
the,
be, right, wasn't published.
Jerry, you okay with that? Jerry, you mute. Jerry, you're mute. Jerry,
Okay with that, Abe. Yes, thank you.
okay with that?
Apparently, we're told that he sent the notice to the paper, but it just never got published in time. So yes, I would suggest a motion to carry it to March 1, subject to the proper paper notice and a newspaper.
Got it. Okay, thank you. Just wanted to
I
make
don't think
sure
there's
that you were good with that.
Chairman, I don't think there's a reason, there's not a need to renotice all the property owners because they can be told right now it's going to be March 1st.
No, I understand that. We just want to renotice because of the newspaper. Okay, fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can I have a motion to table 4170 to March, when is that, March 1st?
Yes,
March 1st, 20, who is that?
Langley.
Motion, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mayor Gelli. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Gelli,
Yes.
Mr. Langley, Talley,
Yes.
Mr. Ribbiat,
Yes.
Mr. Gross,
Yes.
and Mr. Halberstam.
Yes, okay. So anyone that's on the call now for number 4170, Jacob Miller, please know that'll be heard on March 1st, 2021, probably on the same Zoom camera, same Zoom meeting as now. Okay, before I continue, who is initial VW? I see you have two windows open. Again, I'd like you to ask to close one. Oh, that's Mrs. Weinstein, is that? No, that's not you. So who is BW? You have two Zoom windows open, you're taking away bandwidth, and I need you to please dislodge from one of them. Thank you. Okay, moving forward. Any other open correspondence, Madam Secretary?
No, I think, Newport Estates.
We have Mr. Fran, let me take it. We have Mr. Flannery here on behalf of an application that was approved, I think it's last year. Newport Estates looking for a 1-year extension of the original, 3 1-year extensions of the original approvals. And Mr.
Okay.
Flannery is here.
Yes, I am.
Okay. Okay,
The applicant's looking for 3 1-year
Raise your right hand. Mr. Flannery, you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God.
I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer, professional planner. This is an application that was approved in December 2017. The applicant is trying to get public sewer, which would be a benefit to the project. That takes some time. So as permitted by the municipal land use law, we're asking for 3 1-year extensions.
okay. If I remember correctly, when we approved this application, we questioned you a couple of times about the public sewer. And you felt very confident that it's going to happen, but I guess you ran into problems.
I still feel confident it's going to happen, but not as quickly as the applicant would like.
Okay, so I have no problem with that. Anyone have any issues with that?
Just one, Mr. Flannery, that'll take you to December of 22. Does that sound right?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, fine.
Okay, does anyone have any issues with that? Mayor, you're on mute. Mayor, you're on mute. Go ahead.
I heard the first time. What does it mean, 3 extensions? 3-year extension? What's
3
3?
1-year extensions, which is what's permitted by the municipal land use law. The final approval, you get 2 years without the extensions, and then a 3 1-year gives you 5 years, which is why it takes us from December of 17
Right, I
to
understand.
December of 22.
So just the terminology is confusing me. Why don't you just say extension for 3 years?
The municipal land use law says you can request 3 1-year extensions, so it's in reality, it's a 2-year extension.
It's a 1-year extension asking now for 3 times. Got it.
Correct. Correct. Okay,
Jerry, question for Jerry through the
Yes, sir.
chair.
yes, go ahead, Moish.
Is that something that normally happens? I know it's
Yes.
Brian said. You okay with that, Jerry?
Yeah, we're okay. The zoning hasn't changed, so it's not like we would be grandfathering him in, even though the zoning, nothing's changed. It's just the testimony is that The delay is to get the DEP approvals for sanitary sewer, which I think everyone would acknowledge is, yeah, it's a good thing. And Mayor Gelli, to get back to you, if we do all 3 years at one time, we don't have to see Brian Flannery 2 more times. So, I mean, there's something to be said for that.
Well, that's a problem.
Believe me, he ain't going away, Brian. He's going to be back for other reasons. Okay, can we have a motion?
Motion.
Motion.
Whoa, motion. I got a first from Motion Anchor. I got a second from Mayor Gelli. Madam Secretary.
Mr. Gelli,
Yes.
Mr. Langley,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mr. Bibiat.
Yes.
Now, is Mr. Inger on yet?
I saw his name pop up. Yes, he is.
Okay, Mr. Gross
Yes.
and Mr. Halberstam.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay, fine. So that 39668 Newport Estate has been granted a 1-year extension.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Is that it for you for tonight? You leaving?
Nope, not yet. You don't get.
Oh, sounds like you're done. Okay. Moving forward, we're gonna go to David Bernstein, 4168 on old business. Who's here representing David?
I am.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
I hear the voice. It's Miriam Weinstein. Okay?
That's very right, Fran. I'm glad my voice is so distinctive.
4168. Okay. David Bernstein, Area Road, 11.04, lot 7.01 in the R12 zone. To construct a residential home with variance requested for combined side yard setback 20 feet where 25 feet is required. Retaining wall is proposed to 6 feet high along adjoining lot 7.02.
You ready for me?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Before you
good
go,
evening,
I'm
Mr. Chairman, board members. Miriam
Through the
Weinstein,
chair.
on behalf of the applicant.
1 minute, I hear Mosh Langley saying something.
Through Chair, could you repeat the appeal number, please?
4168.
4168.
4168.
Thank you.
Okay. Mrs. Weinstein, I just want you to focus on the question that we had when we looked at this application last month.
I'm getting
Excuse
there.
me? Okay,
I'm
thank
getting
you.
there. I watched the meeting from last month, so I'm going to get to it. Give me a second. Let me just
Okay.
first of all announce my appearance. It's Miriam Weinstein on behalf of the applicant David Bernstein. First of all, just to start, this application is for a residence for an end user, Mr. and Mrs. Bernstein. They purchased this lot a few months ago, actually only on June 30th of 2020, to build themselves a home for their growing family. But when they started to design their home, and don't worry, Mr. Chairman, I'm getting to your question. When they started to design their home, they realized that it would be much better suited if the home was 55 feet wide. Being that the lot is only 75 feet wide in the R12 zone, that would automatically require that they have to come in here and they have to apply for a variance for combined yard setback of 20 feet, where 25 feet is required. Okay, now they're also requiring a variance for the retaining wall, which Brian will give you testimony on. The lot width variance was already granted by the planning board, and this is going to answer your question. Back in June of 2010, as part of an approval, they granted minor subdivision approval to subdivide the mother lot into 2 lots under appeal number SV 1730. Now, at the last hearing, Mr. Chairman, you asked the applicant if this is a self-imposed hardship, and I believe that's the question you were referring to, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, so the answer is no, this is not a self-imposed hardship. This buyer purchased this lot, 2 owners down the chain from the two Messrs. Herzog, who were the parties who received the subdivision approval. At the time that the Herzogs sought approval, they as developers didn't provide architectural plans and probably didn't think too much about what type of house would be built on this lot. Knowing the Herzogs, they simply wanted to subdivide the property into 2 lots to maximize the amount they can make by selling off the 2 lots, which is precisely what they did. They sold the other lot to somebody else, this lot to my client's predecessor in title. The Bernsteins purchased this lot from that other party. They surely were not the ones who created the situation, and certainly therefore are not barred by any self-imposed hardship because they didn't impose the hardship at all. Does that answer your question?
Not exactly, but I understand what you're trying to say.
Jerry, just a quick question. Is that true? If somebody
Well,
else, somebody else subs you?
when we heard the application last month, I don't think there was some talk about it, but I don't think there was any proofs that there was a subdivision approval granted by the planning board. We now have those proofs. So the township, through the planning board, has said a 75-foot lot is okay for this property. So, it's not really self-created because it was created by it was permitted by the planning board, I guess about 10 years ago. The issue still is,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Almost 11, but yeah, close enough.
About 10 years ago, almost 11. I'm sorry, Ms. Weinstein.
All good.
Yeah. But the issue now is you have a 75-foot lot and you need sideline setback variances as well as the retaining wall issue, which perhaps both Mr. Flannery and Mr. Vogt can talk about, because I think that is an issue.
So before we continue, Jerry,
It's not a self-created hardship.
okay, so it's not a self-created hardship. However, I have a quick question before we continue to Mr. Flannery, okay? The Township Planning Board made a subdivision, and if I remember reading the minutes of that subdivision, they made it when Herzog or whoever created the subdivision testified that a regular width house of 50 feet will be sufficient for this lot, and therefore he wants a subdivision. And that's what the basis of the planning board's approval to give him the subdivision, because to leave as a standard R12 to 10 and 15 on both 10 and 15, combination of 25 will be sufficient. However, now that he's asking to go 10 and 10, first of all, does that belong to us? Perhaps the planning board wouldn't have given him that subdivision at that time.
Mr. Chairman,
I was asking Jerry. I was going to talk to Jerry.
Sorry.
Jerry, go ahead.
Well, now at this point, the sideline setback issue is a self-created hardship. And you're right. I've reviewed the minutes also. The planning board at the time was told that, inferentially, 50-foot wide would be all we need. Well, now we want a 55-foot lot. So somebody has to legitimate why the setback variance should be granted, since that is something the applicant is doing from the get-go. So that is a self-created hardship.
So my question is, does that belong back in the planning board?
No, it stays here. No,
It stays here. Okay, so now the question is, was granted that 75-foot width lot was granted based on the testimony that we read that it'll be a 50-foot wide house, a 50-foot wide house and no more. So now, Mrs. Weinstein, the question is going to be back to you. And why should we grant another extra 5 feet when the house originally, the lot originally was subdivided based on a 50-foot wide house?
So,
And for that,
Mr. Chairman, the approval that was granted to the Herzogs was granted 11 years ago. If you could just let us present our testimony as to why this is justified, that we'll get to that part. If you allow me to do that, I would ask that Brian Flannery sworn.
For sure. I just wanted to lay it all out. Go ahead.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. Brian Flannery Jackson,
Brian, I think
New
you're on
Jersey,
mute.
licensed professional engineer and land surveyor. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So this is a 75-foot wide lot on Ataya Road. It's on sheet 14 of the tax map. When the planning board granted the 75-foot wide lot, there was some very compelling testimony provided by a professional planner that indicated that there are, I think it's 8 lots similar in size in that area. So that this was something that's conforming with the area. At the time the Herzogs presented that application, they didn't know who the end users were going to be. At this point, Mr. Bernstein and his family have bought the lot, and now they're asking for relief from the zoning board. And there's the municipal land use law. When you ask for relief, you can ask under C1 criteria, which is a hardship, or C2 criteria, which is the benefits outweigh the detriments. So my testimony relating to this is that they're going to provide 10 feet on each side, which is what either of the neighbors could have expected. If you've driven down Taya Road, it's a very nice block with lots of different homes. I am very familiar with the Taya Road. I lived on a Taya Road for about 15 years on the opposite side of the street. And the nice thing about a Taya Road is there's big houses, there's small houses. Nobody driving down a Taya Road, nobody in the area from outside the area is going to notice the fact that it's 10 feet on each side and a combined 20 rather than a combined 25. But the end users will have a house that accommodates their family and is what they would like to build, live in, and reside on a Taya Road. Looking at the report, Terry indicates that the bulk variance relief we need for that 20 feet, 25 feet. For a C2 variance, you have to meet certain criteria. First of all, I'd like to point out in justification of it, the master plan of 2017 on page 2 under background information about the growth, and it concludes on page 3 that based on this information, it's therefore important that Lakewood plan for residential house its growing population. And providing a house here that has an extra 5 feet width that accommodates this family and doesn't have any adverse impact will accomplish that goal. The vision statement on page 7 says encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. And it's my testimony this does this. There was a one house sitting on that lot. There's some really strange grading. If you look at the plan that was submitted with it that shows the topography, you know, the dirt's been moved around on the lot quite a bit. And I think this applicant will take the grading to where it should appropriately be and provide a house there that's going to fit well on the block and accommodate his family. Getting to the municipal NJSA 40:55D2 under the purpose of the act, it says encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use for development of all lands in a state in a manner which will promote public morals and general welfare. And it's my testimony to that. So for the C2 variance, there's 5 things that we need to show. We need to show that it relates to a specific piece of property. And this is a very unique piece of property. It's an infill lot in this development. It has wetlands on the back with a conservation easement. It drops down drastically from the road. And it's in an area that is surrounded by other wide lots. Off the street. We have to show that the purpose of the municipal land use law would be advanced, which is what I just testified to. We have to show the variance can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good. And that's the effect on the surrounding property. So both lots 7.8 and 920, they're entitled to at least 10 feet on each side. If we did 10 and 15, one of them gets 15, one of them gets 10. But all they could have expected was the 10. Again, my testimony is that that's not something that's going to look out of place. It's going to be appropriate in the neighborhood. We have to show that the variance will not impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. Since the planning board approved these 75-foot wide lots without any architectural plan showing what they had an application from the Herzogs, which they very well knew that they were taking this lot and maximizing the number of housing units. And the testimony at the time was that the housing units is something that's important to Lakewood. And then the last thing we have to show is that benefits outweigh the detriments. My professional testimony, having lived on that block for a long time, is that there is no adverse impact. There's no adverse impact on the surrounding properties. And the fact that there are no detriments, the benefits, which is the Bernstein family having a house that accommodates them well, certainly outweighs the any negative criteria. Continuing the report, the retaining wall was mentioned, and it was mentioned as a variance, but it's my testimony, the retaining wall is not a variance. And Terry brings it up under review comments, and he expresses that the retaining wall is 6 feet high at points, and that's because of the grading that I indicated before. And Terry's report also indicates that an easement may be required for the adjoining property owner. The applicant is certainly going to meet with the neighbors, and to the extent that he could provide some grading on the neighbor's property, beneficial to the neighbors, because it would make the rear yards more usable without that big drop in grading. As indicated on the plan submitted, the house has the 4 parking spaces in front of it. Then you have your house, and what they're creating is a level usable backyard. And having a lot of this depth that has a conservation easement in the back, it's my professional testimony that that's an appropriate thing. If the board acts favorably on the application, we would certainly work with board engineer to make sure that the retaining wall that's built and the grading that's done is appropriate and in accordance with township standards. And I'm sure that as part of resolution compliance, we can work that out. The other comments in Terry's report, we would certainly address. There was one comment about the boxes that were shown along the one property line. And those apparently are fence posts. If you look on the survey that was provided with the application, they show fence posts at that location. So it's just a CAD symbol that jumps out. But I mean, this is a very simple application for the Bernstein family to have a house. If you looked at the plans that were submitted, it's a very nice house that's going to fit appropriately into the neighborhood, and will provide a nice residence for the Bernsteins and their family.
Excuse me, Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't have any problem with Brian's testimony on the variances. I just wanted to add that if the board is going to act favorably, that be conditioned on the plot plan approval and getting consent from the adjoining property owners, whether it be easement or whatever. I had discussion with Glenn Lyons at the very end of last month's meeting, and he assured me that he was going to submit information on the adjacent properties, which we don't have. If that condition is put in the resolution, that the applicant is willing to work with the engineering department to make sure that they get the adjacent property owner consents, I'll be fine.
Okay,
You're talking
thanks.
about with regard to the retaining wall, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Okay, sure. That's fine with us.
Okay. Terry, I myself didn't have much of an issue with the testimony on the retaining wall, so long that he gets the neighbor's consent on it. I didn't have an issue, but I'm still not convinced about the 5 feet, why we should grant him a 5 foot. If he needs a bigger house, this property is about 320 feet, 219 feet to the back. Why should we grant him a variance for 5 feet when he can just build a bigger house and lengthwise?
I'm not giving
Chairman, can I ask a couple of questions?
I'm not
about
giving
this?
consent, Chairman. I'm simply saying I personally don't have an issue.
No,
It's
no.
up to you guys.
Okay, Moish Langley wants to say something. Moish,
It looks like it's 320 feet. Chair.
320 feet? Okay, yeah, on the side, 320. You know, why should we, I agree with what Brian said, all about the aesthetics, the beautiful neighborhood, but they went ahead and they got the subdivision based on a 50-foot wide house. If they need a bigger house, let them go longer. I'm not convinced yet.
Mr. Chairman, it's not about a bigger house, and I think Brian can give you the testimony since he was the one who provided the testimony to the planning board back in 2010. I don't think the testimony was specifically predicated on the fact that the house was going to be only 50 feet wide. I think if you know what an Orthodox Jewish house looks like, typically they need that extra width so that they can get the dining room and living room to be the sizes that they
Mrs.
need
Weinstein.
to make it work.
Mrs. Weinstein, the last time I heard that answer, you have to get the Jewish furniture in, was when A.B. Penza said that the IKEA furniture doesn't fit anymore on a 24 square foot townhouse, and they want to go up to 26 feet, 2,600 square feet.
Mr. Flannery,
That was the last
Chairman's
time I heard
permission,
that.
let me ask a couple of
Come on,
questions.
but maybe Brian can tell us what
Ms.
the
Weinstein, hold on a minute.
Hold on, Jerry, go ahead.
And please don't talk on the cell phone unless you mute yourself, Ms. Weinstein, because we can hear you.
I'm not talking on a cell phone.
You weren't 5 minutes ago?
No, I was not.
I apologize. My bad.
Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
Mr. Flannery, is there a house?
You're under oath, Mrs. Weinstein.
But
Go ahead.
Is there a
Jerry.
house now on the adjoining lot, the other 75-foot lot?
No, there's not.
Okay. And you said that there's about 8 or so houses in the area that are similar to this. Do you mean similar mean 75 feet wide or 55-foot wide home? Or what do you mean?
Our 75-foot wide lots, I know lot 5 in block 11.02 is a house that appears to be, I met it, but I lived next door to it for many years. It appears that it has 10-foot setback on each side. But I think that's what my testimony is, that when you drive down the street, the separation between the houses, some of them there's 20 feet between the houses, some of them there's a little more. This is going to fit in, it's going to look appropriately. And if this was creating any adverse impact on either the neighbors or the community, the C2 variance wouldn't be appropriate. But since there is no detriment, we're asking for a variance. We need variance relief. We understand the board has to look at it, but the balancing test is the benefits and the detriments. And it seems like it's looking at a hardship that was created by Herzog when he subdivided the lot. But even if he hadn't subdivided the lot, it would be still the same thing, a C2 variance to allow 10 feet on each side. I go to a lot of these board meetings, and usually we're fighting to get a 5-foot or 7-foot side setbacks. 10-foot side setbacks that allows for the window wells, allows for the HVAC equipment. It's the 10 feet that each side could have reasonably expected they were going to get. So it's not getting too close to any of the neighbors. It's not creating a safety hazard. It's not creating any of that. It's simply a matter of the benefits outweighing the detriments. We don't see a detriment other than the fact that Mr. Herzog apparently alluded to the board that he was going to build 50-foot wide houses. And I don't think it's the first time that Mr. Herzog alluded to something that didn't turn out to be the way, especially 10 years down the road, an end user who wants to be a member of this community and wants to live on Atea Road.
To the chair. Abe? Brian?
Yes.
Quick question for you. I just wasn't sure if I heard you correctly. Did you testify that the other homes directly in this particular area have 10 and 10? Was that your testimony? Because I heard you say something like that.
I haven't measured them. I live next door to lot 5, and by appearance, it seemed like it was 10 and 10. I haven't measured them. My testimony originally was that there are 8 smaller width lots in this area.
Were those 75
so it's not
foot?
like the smaller width is going to stand out.
Were those 75-foot lots?
75. One is 79, and the other is 65 at the corner. One is 5 and a little bit wider on the other side.
Okay, so for the purpose of this, of your testimony, you can't verify that the lots are actually 10 and 10, 20 feet. You don't know for a fact. You just, by appearance, it may look that way.
Mr. Flannery, let me ask, I'm sorry, if Mr. Riviette's done, let me ask you a couple of questions. Please, shorter answers. We have a big agenda. Did you testify before the planning board in support of the variance application that 50 feet wide is all you really need in this area to satisfy the family?
I have no recollection of saying 50 feet was all that we needed. I'm sure I said we're not asking for any bulk variances at this time, but I have no recollection of saying 50 feet is all we need.
All right, I think you would agree when you're going for a variance like this on a C2, and the issue is the detriments. Excuse me, the benefits outweighing the detriments. It's not the benefits to the property owner. Of course, it's going to be a benefit if he gets his approval. It's a benefit to him. The benefits are to the neighborhood or the zone plan or the neighborhood scheme. What are the benefits to the neighborhood to allow for a 55-foot wide house rather than a 50-foot?
The benefit that you look at is accomplishing the goals of the master plan, and one of the goals of the master plan is providing housing. So this is
You
housing.
can build a house here. There's no question you can build a house. You can build a house.
He certainly can build a house, and he would have to have rooms that were different dimensions than the house that the architect designed that can accommodate his family. So, as I indicated, when I got to the benefits and the detriments, my opinion was there were no detriments. So the benefits, certainly you can have a benefit to a property owner, a benefit of improving this lot that's been sitting there since the Herzogs did the subdivision, and providing that housing opportunity now to an end user.
So you're saying that the benefit is that there'd be a house there, and it would increase the housing stock, right? In a general sense, neighborhood sense. But either way, there's going to be a house there. It's be a 50. I mean, I don't understand how there's a benefit. I think you're indicating there was a benefit. Well, there's a benefit to the property owner if he gets a variance. Sure, he's been benefited. But that's not the purpose of the variance. The variance is supposed to show that there's a benefit to the zone plan, to the neighborhood scheme, that the other people around him will benefit. And I don't see where is that?
Well, I don't think it
Brian, would you-
necessarily has to mean that the people around him are going to benefit. The benefits typically, the way the applications go, is if there's a goal in the master plan or the municipal land use law, and it meets the goal of that master plan. In this case, it's housing. And I know it's not a huge benefit. It's not a huge benefit, but for the benefits that outweigh the detriment, when there's no detriment, that's an easy balancing act.
How is there a benefit to more housing when you could build a 50-foot wide house? What's the difference? How is that a benefit to the goals of the municipal land use law? We'll grant you the fact. I'll give you the fact. You can put a house there. No question about it.
But Jerry, we sent out letters to all the neighbors within 200 feet. Do you see any here who are here to object? I mean, we can open it and see if there are any.
Well, I'm not sure my question was answered, but so be it. That's up to the zoning board. Do you plan to have an independent basement here?
An independent, what do you mean by independent basement?
If you look at the plans that were submitted, the only steps going to the basement is there's a side entry door that comes into the house, and you're actually in the house, and then you make a decision to you go up or you get down to the basement. The plans that were submitted show an unfinished basement. I haven't had a conversation with the applicant if he intends to rent a basement, but if you look at a lot of the houses, and I think it's a good point that a lot of the houses would have a side entry stairs to the basement. This does not have that. So as far as your impact to the side of the property line, it's a much less impact. The board always looks at, is there steps going to the upstairs that you can get there from the outside without going through the house. You have to come into the house. The plans that were submitted show you come into the house. It's a very nice house. When I look at the plans, it's an applicant who wants to have a nice house that his family can enjoy.
Can anyone answer my question on behalf of the applicant? Is the plan to have, and I'm surprised you would know about an independent place, but is the plan to have separate living quarters for a different family in the basement? Yes or no?
I don't know the answer at this point. The applicant is on the call. We can certainly have him sworn if you'd like to. But if they're going to have a separate living unit in the basement, they're certainly going to comply with the township requirements for same. But Mr. Bernstein is on the call.
I'm here. Hello.
But you're asking for variances, so it seems to me.
David Bernstein.
Can you confirm Mr. Bernstein so he can answer the question directly?
This is David Bernstein. Do you hear me?
Sir, do you affirm?
We got to get sworn in.
So be God, Mr. Bernstein. Mr. Bernstein, do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
The question is, are you going to have a separate basement for the purposes?
No, we will not be having a rental basement. No.
So if this was approved, it could include a deed restriction that the basement would never be used separately.
not a deed restriction, because Mr. Bernstein potentially might have to sell this house at some point in the future, but Mr. Bernstein can represent that he will not put a basement apartment in that basement.
Ms. Weinstein, you wanted him to affirm. Would you let him talk? The question is, are you going to agree? Should we put in the resolution a condition that there will not be any independent living in the basement? Yes or no?
Yes.
He said, no, there won't be. Now, Ms. Weinstein said, well, you never know what might happen in the future. That doesn't really work.
Mr. Bernstein is not putting an apartment in there, but it's not, to ask him to put a deed restriction that restricts it for posterity is not a fair request when the basement is permitted.
Look, I'm not going to argue with you. Don't tell me it's not a fair request. You're asking for the variances. The zoning board ought to know what it is that you're asking to be approved in full.
The applicant is not planning on having a rental apartment in the basement. He's finishing the basement for his own use, correct, Mr.
Okay.
Bernstein?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, Mrs. Weinstein, we heard enough on this subject. We know where we stand. I still believe that whatever size house we can still do is on a 50-foot wide house lot on a tire road, but that's only me saying that. Any comments from board members about this issue?
To the chair?
Go ahead.
Yeah, one quick question.
Judah, yes.
Yeah, one quick question to Brian. I noticed that on the side of the house, there were two doors, two outside exterior doors. Could you describe what those are for?
The two doors, one, if you look at the plan, it's an outside door that you walk into the garage, and then from the garage into the house. The second outside door, you walk into a small foyer area, and then you can either go down the steps into the basement or up the steps into the house.
Is there any other access to the basement other than those steps from that door? Pardon me?
Yeah.
Is there any other access to the basement other than those stairs from that outside entrance?
That is the only access to the basement.
Hey, the whole thing's coming back somehow or other.
What'd you say?
Yeah, it's playing.
Playing back over here. Who's not on mute?
Anybody that's not giving testimony?
They may have the web on, maybe that's the background noise.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, whoever is not on, like I said before, whoever is not on any of the meetings, to please dislodge from this web meeting. It's just taking up a lot of bandwidth and creating a lot of problems. I see a lot of phone numbers over here on this meeting right now. I don't know who they are, but whoever they are, can you please disconnect? Jason, can we disconnect all these phone numbers? I don't know who they are.
Tell me, what are you doing?
Maybe they're from the public waiting to talk.
If they're members from the public, they can log on to the general township camera, and they can watch the whole thing.
Maybe they want to talk.
Well, if they want to talk, that's fine. But if they don't, please disconnect.
It looks like they're all muted.
They are? Okay. But it still takes up
Coming from the
bandwidth.
other angle of Jerry.
Okay, let's go forward. Let's continue. Yes, Mr. Moishlankery, go ahead.
Terry, could you repeat what you mentioned about the neighbor's approval with the retaining wall? If you can go through that, and then I have some questions about the adjoining lots for Brian afterwards. Lot 1104, 1, 6, and 7.02.
Yeah, we just had questions, Moshe, and it goes back to our review, I guess back a couple of months ago, is that you've got retaining walls in the property going to be up to 6 feet high, and we have nothing as to the existing or future development of the adjoining properties. And my request was, which I believe the applicant agreed to, that if the board finds that the variances are warranted, and that's up to the board, I'm not involved in that. If you decide to act favorably, our recommendation was that a condition of approval is that they can resolve grading issues with the consent of the adjoining lot owners. And if for some reason that couldn't happen, it would come back to the board.
Okay, could you describe the retaining wall? Is a retaining wall generally a concrete type wall?
I'm going to ask Brian if there's any information on that. More often than not, if it's over 4 feet, it's usually concrete.
Or it could be railroad ties.
It could be,
railroad
Chairman.
ties. It could be a block wall. Behind it. So all those are engineering details that we would work out with the township engineer. Board acts favorably on the application.
I didn't hear your answer, Brian.
About the retaining wall?
Yeah.
It's not indicated on the plan what it is. Imagine it would be like a block type of wall. That's typically what's done.
A what? Can you repeat that? And now what?
A
I
block.
think
He said
Brian's
it's a block.
saying it would be a segmented wall.
A what? Can you repeat
A
that?
segmented wall. They're tiers of blocks.
Okay, so 7.02 and 20 are undeveloped?
That's my understanding. I had asked Mr. Lyons to come back last month with information on those lots. Unfortunately, we don't have it.
And lot 1 is undeveloped?
That's my understanding.
Correct. Light 1 is undeveloped.
So we are going, if we give 7.01, then 7.02 is coming in and 20 and number 1 is coming in?
Absolutely.
Okay, but in 7.01, there is a chance there's gonna be a brick wall or a block wall 6 feet high, facing the neighbors in 7.02 and lot 20. That's usually a concrete type wall, is not too pretty. It could affect the view of your neighbor. How are we gonna address how can we address that? Neighbor starts to build his house, realizes he's looking at a brick wall.
Mr. Langley, one side there is a house up already, by the way. Only one side is vacant. And just to answer you, Terry did stipulate that he would have to meet with the neighbors and have an agreement with the neighbors, and we agree with that. Obviously, we'd have to have an agreement with the neighbors regarding the retaining wall before we could build it.
Before you could build the house?
Well, we couldn't go forward with this approval unless we had an agreement from the neighbor with regard to the retaining wall. That's correct.
Which lot is built?
Brian, do you know which one's built and which one's not? I think the other half of the mother lot is not, and I just don't know. Brian, do you have the lot numbers in front of you?
Yes.
The other side of this subdivision has not been built on, but the lot on the other side has a house on it.
It's from 20 to 7.01.
Well, 1 second. This lot is
Lot 20, which is to the west of 7.01, has a house on it.
right.
Right, what's their setback?
I drove past. It looks like 10 feet, but it looks like between 20 and 1 is a little larger. Some of them, if you drive through the neighborhood, there's some that are close, there's some that aren't. And that was why it's my testimony that granting this isn't going to be a problem. It would be my testimony also that if 7.02 came in and had 10 on each side, it's not going to have an adverse impact on this neighborhood. It's a very diverse neighborhood with very nice houses.
And can I point out to the board, if you look at tonight's agenda, at appeal number 417, exact same variance, 20 feet where 25 feet is required. It's also a 75-foot wide lot. It's around the corner. It's on Guds Road, literally around the corner from this property, making the identical request.
That's exactly the point. You know, if we were to say that the UDO is for 10 and 10, you'd come back and want 15, 7 and 7. Why not? It's whatever it is, you're always going to want more. And on both of these properties, we have an issue that it was granted a variance to split the lot and to make that other one around the corner subdivision based on these size houses. And that's exactly my point. You know, if that was what it was granted on, leave it as such.
But Mr. Chairman, just to answer your question, you said that if 10 was allowed, that we'd come with 7. There's a difference here. 10 is allowed on one side. We're not asking for a variance for one side. If 10 was allowed on one side and we came for a variance for 7, that would be a very different variance than what we're asking for. That would actually
No, you missed my point. I said if the UDO would say that you need 20 feet combined, 10 and 10, you'll say, give me 7 and 7.
No, because that would require two variances. That would require
or give me 10, leave 10. You'd figure out a variance that you need. You know what I'm trying to say.
But it's not true. The problem, the thing here is that 10 feet is always permissible on one side. We're asking for something that is permitted. We're just asking that each side have 10 instead of only 10 on one side. It's not something that's permissible to the neighbor.
Mrs. Weinstein, are you doing Brian Flannery math? That 10 and 10 equals 25 because whichever side is 10 is permissible on either side?
I didn't say that. I said 10 is always permissible.
Okay.
And that's why
Fine.
we don't have a variance for side yard
Thank
setback,
you.
but only for combined.
Okay. Moshe, you wanted to say
Open
something?
the public. I think it's enough. No, we have.
Yeah, Moshe wanted to say something. Avram.
I wanted to say what Abraham said. I wanted to say what Abraham Naftali just said.
Got it.
We didn't hear anything new with the last couple of rounds of questioning except for arguing. And let's go further. Thanks.
Okay. Mrs. Siegel, Franny Siegel, do we have any letters from the public on this? And if anyone from the public, from the public would like to send something in, please, or for a matter of fact, for any application for tonight's meeting, please send it now to zoning board comments at lakewoodnj.gov. Please send in all your comments for any of tonight's meetings as we go along. You didn't get anything, Franny?
Nope, not on this application.
Okay. I'm gonna move to the phones. Is anyone on the phone that wants to say something about this application? Okay, I don't see anyone on the phone, so we'll close it to the public unless we get a email within the next minute or so. We'll consider it as something. Moving forward, can I have final comments or a motion?
A comment. If this was an isolated case of one person needing a variance and he was just asking for himself, I wouldn't have a problem with granting it. But this affects 7.01, affects 7.02, and we have a concrete retaining wall. I'd be more comfortable a letter from lot 20 testimony, actually hearing testimony from the neighbors, lot 20, 7.02, even lot 1, that they don't have issues with this, and then I would vote on it. But right now I have a little bit of issues. We give this 7.02 is coming in next, and then 20, and then number 1 is coming in. We're changing the characteristic of the neighborhood, not by a lot, just slightly. But I would be more comfortable if you came back with letters from all the neighbors that they're okay with this.
So
we're not going to hear a real testimony in a Zoom meeting. You know, if this was in person, they were able to see their faces when they come.
Okay, so that was a comment. Anyone else want to say something? If not, then can I have a motion? Guys, we need a motion one way or the other.
Mrs. Weinstein, maybe it's worthwhile coming back with letters like Mr. Langley suggested.
Okay, we can do that. We can get
I can
letters
make
from
a
the neighbors
motion.
regarding the retaining wall.
Mayor, I don't think it's right at this point to do it.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Dasty, are these going to be two motions, one for the retaining wall and one for the side setback?
The retaining wall we have to do in any case.
Jerry, can I ask you a question on a motion if it's legal?
Okay,
I make a motion to approve, subject to letters of testimony. Instead of waiting for the testimony, as Terry said, with the neighbors, before we give final approval, we have to have the testimony on the 7.02 and lot 20 that they're okay with it and how it affects their grading.
So when you say neighbors, specifically those two neighbors.
did you indicate, live testimony or letters?
Okay, and they're with this project and probably that they're not coming in to ask for variances for themselves.
Don't do that.
Well, the short answer is yes, you can approve it subject to, for instance, written letters duly notarized. Or if you say you want live testimony next month, then you would just carry it for a month to get that. So
The applicant's agreeing to carry.
When I'm not agreeing yet to carry it.
I'm okay with testimony, written testimony, written testimonies.
Moish, you want a written testimony that they will not ask for a variance down the road.
Don't do
You know
that.
what that's worth?
I don't know what it's worth.
Nothing.
Nothing,
Okay, thank you very much.
okay?
We also don't have a design for the retaining wall. That has to be approved by the engineering.
That's fine. Okay, listen, guys, what do you guys want to do? We need to move ahead. I need to move on to the next application.
Okay,
So I need a motion one way or the other.
I make a motion to approve.
Can I have a second? Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Moish, that's what you've done.
With Jerry, do you have recommendations on my a motion to approve?
well, I would presume I presume as normal, the policy of the board is that any approvals like this would have the usual front of the building having stone, 1/3 of it, the stone stuck over brick foundation.
Assuming this is a nice house, yes.
And
All those
irrigation.
usuals. But I would
I'm not
like to
sure-
see designs that it should be also pleasing to the eye. The 6-foot retaining wall shouldn't be something that's ugly, that the neighbors would be happy with. Some sort of design, Terry, that would be, I don't know how to say it, pretty or nice or.
Well, Mr. Langkry, I understand what you're saying, but I can't put that in the resolution. I mean, who's going to define if it's pretty or not? That's why you normally have these things ahead of time. The testimony is that it would be a block wall. I don't know if that means it's going to be finished, it's going to be stuccoed, it's going to be red brick. And I don't know how we can put it into a resolution that it has to look nice. I can't do it.
Don't do that.
Terry, what do you recommend? Something that looks nice.
Number
I
10.
recommend letting the engineers be engineers. That's just me.
Moish, we have to move on.
Yeah, Maish, I've seen retaining walls that are like a stucco red brick, which are very, very nice. Instead of calling it block, you can call it something like that.
They'll hire a local designer to make a nice wall. You know?
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, Terry,
guys, I have a
it's gotta be
motion from
nice.
Moish Langkry. I have a motion from Moish Langkry. Can I have a second?
Was there before you get that far, I'm not sure where we are with the basement. Is it permitted to have an independent living basement or not? Be it this person or the next person?
We heard testimony from the applicant that he said there's not going to be a rentable basement. And Mrs. Weinstein said that you're coming into the house.
So is that a condition of the approval that now and never there would be an independent living basement?
I don't think we should do that. It's never gonna happen.
I'm just asking, you know?
No,
I would leave it out.
don't do that.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that, Myra.
I was gonna make that restriction.
Okay, all right, it's not a condition, all right.
So, I'll second this.
Okay, do we have, Moish, is your motion also with those letters that you just requested? Okay, so I have a motion from Moish Langkry and I have a second from Mayor Gelli. Madam Secretary,
It's
roll
an
call, please.
understanding that Terry's going to get those letters too, right, Terry?
That's going to have to be part of the plot plan approval process.
With the neighbors to make sure that they're okay with, whatever happens here, right?
They're going to submit something in writing that they consent to the grading in the walls. That's going to be incorporated. Our engineering department does an individual grading review of every lot. It's called a plot plan process. I'm asking to have that as part of the plot plan process, that the adjoining property owners consent to the walls.
Mr. Chairman, there's two issues here, the side yard setback and the wall. The wall will be reviewed by Terry Cole. What about that? They're approving that?
Wait a minute.
That's approved.
We're going to, okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so the
Jerry
motion is to
handled that
approve
already.
with that, the motion is to approve with that retaining wall.
Yard setback of 20 feet is one
With that-
issue. And the letter for the retaining wall will be brick or whatever the engineers decide on.
Correct. Okay?
Okay?
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Gelli,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Napoli,
Yes.
Mr. Ribbiat. Mr. Inglis still here?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Gross,
Yes.
Where was Mr. Ribbiat? I didn't hear his.
he's here. Said yes.
Yes.
I didn't hear you.
I said thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Halverson, I didn't get your vote. What was it, sir? Yes or no? I didn't hear you.
Yes.
Me? No.
Oh, Mr. Halberston, you said no?
Yes.
Is it yes or no?
It's both. It's yes and no. Okay? Thank you. Good luck, and I'd like to see those letters moving forward. Have a good night.
Thank you. Good night.
Moving forward. Moving forward, 4115 Hampton Development. Okay? Now, before we start Hampton Development, who's here representing Hampton Development?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Adam Pfeffer.
Adam, I don't see you, Adam. Where are you?
Just unmuted. I don't know why my camera's not on. I just turned it on again.
Oh, there you are. Okay.
It's on.
Okay. Before we continue with Hampton Development, I just want to make a quick announcement. Please turn off yours. Thank you, everyone. The time is now 8 o'clock. This is a very heavy, long application. We're on a Zoom meeting on this. I don't think my fellow board members want to sit on this for a long time tonight. I'm going to give you about an hour and a half. When we reach 9:30, wherever you're up to, we're going to close it for the night and continue in March. I can't. I don't think anyone here wants to sit on a application like this on Zoom for longer than that. Is that okay with you?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and I'm hoping we can finish this by the hour and a half time mark.
I hear background noise.
Mr. Chairman, I think there was an issue with Selco, which
Wait,
appeal number
One
4169.
second. I'm not ready to Falco yet. Give me a second. What did you say, Adam?
I said, I believe we'll be able to complete within the hour and a half, but if not, we understand we'll come back in March and finish.
Thank you. Okay, so we're moving forward. Franny, what do you say?
I think the people here that are for 4169 want to know if you think you're going to get to them tonight, because that's a use variance also. Mr. Schneider, Mr. Dosty, are you here?
Okay, well, that's why I put this application on for an hour and a half to 9:30, so then I could pick up Jeffrey German or Selco and move forward from there. That was my point. Mr. Schneider, you're on mute. I can't hear you. I see you trying to say something.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I was just trying to be respectful. It sounds like you're going to 9:30 on the Hampton, and then you have the German matter after that. So I'm just trying to get a realistic determination as to whether you'll reach us tonight or if not, whether it's advisable at this point just to carry it till the March 1st meeting. I'm willing
So-
to wait. It doesn't sound like that's likely at this point.
So let me tell you the way I'm looking at the calendar, at the clock. We're gonna go with Hampton until about 9:30. A little bit overtime probably, because we never finish exactly on time when I say that. Then Jeffrey German, I don't expect that to be more than 15 minutes,
I
20 minutes.
do have letters of objection on that one.
I understand.
Okay.
Okay. 30 minutes, so we'll be at 10 o'clock. How long of an application do you need, Mr. Schneider?
I would think, subject obviously to the board questioning, at least an hour for three. I have three witnesses, let me put it that way.
Okay.
Depending on the nature of the board's questioning and any questions or comments from the board engineer. But I can complete the direct in about an hour, but those are famous last words, as they say.
Yes, we've heard that many times. I would then recommend, why don't we, new phrase in Zoom meetings, circle back in about 45 minutes to an hour, see where we're up to, see how Hampton is going, and see if we can wrap that up sooner than later. Because if you're gonna start at 10 o'clock, I don't think my fellow board members are gonna want to sit here till 11 o'clock on this application.
Understood, and certainly understandable. So why don't I do this? I'll stay on, and then feel free to call on me at about 9:45 and
we'll make an
let me know.
assessment over there. Moish, you want to say something? Thank you,
Yeah.
thank you, Mr. Schneider. What do you want to say,
I
Moish?
think we should be fair to Mr. Schneider and just let him go for the night. I don't
Yeah,
think we're gonna
okay,
get to
it's up to him. Yeah, that's what I said, we'll circle back in 45 minutes. If he wants to call it a quits now, I laid it out. I don't know where it's gonna go.
Why don't I do this? My client probably would ask me to stay on for at least 45, so if you would just, someone make a mental note at about 8:45, just call on me and let me know how it's going, and then if it doesn't look like we'll get reached, we'll call it for the night. How about that?
That sounds good. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You got it. Okay, let's move ahead. Franny, can you please read the application into the record?
Okay, this is from Terry Vogt. The application is for preliminary and final major site plan approval to construct a 3-story multifamily apartment building above a ground floor parking garage with 99 units on existing lot 65.01 and block 248.01. The proposed apartment building will contain 37 one-bedroom units and 62 two-bedroom units. Accessory uses such as a business center, a shul, a social hall, a gym, recreation room, and outdoor common terrace areas are also proposed. The project will also include a total of 252 parking spaces, including 9 ADA spaces, 228 off-street parking spaces will be located within the ground level parking garage, and the remaining 24 will be located in 2 parking areas around the building. That's it.
Okay. Adam?
Yes. Good evening,
Go forward.
Mr. Chairman, everybody. As Fran indicated, this is an application for an apartment building for 99 units. We have a couple of small, obviously, the main variant here is the use variance as multifamily is not a permitted use in the zone. Besides for that, we have a few other small bulk variances. We are not seeking any parking variances. At this time, I'm going to try and ask Brian Flannery to be sworn in. I also later on have Scott Kennel, our traffic engineer as well, but we'll get to him later. Brian, sorry if you could swear Brian in. I think you muted, Jerry.
I'm awful sorry. Mr. Kennel will swear you in now also and get that finished. Mr. Kennel and Mr. Flannery, please raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm to tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I do. I do. Brian Flannery, Jackson, New Jersey, licensed professional engineer, professional land surveyor.
And just, Brian, before we get started, Mr. Chairman, do you accept Brian as an expert in this field?
Yes, I do.
And Brian, if you can, just mark any exhibits as you use them. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, before you start, Franny mentioned a social hall is gonna be in here. I don't think I saw a social hall on the blueprints. Was that a mistake from Franny? Did she misspeak, or did she say the wrong thing?
That was
I believe the
in
plans you have.
report.
You
I
believe
don't
the plans you
remember.
have do show it? I believe it's a small 28 or 2,900 square foot room.
It's shown on the plans on the first floor.
Terry, that's from your report from October 22nd.
Mr. Chairman, if you look at the plans on the first floor,
Oh, I see recreation room. Hold on a second. Common terrace. Shul, gym. Oh, there it is. My bad. Okay, good. Go ahead.
2,900 square feet.
Yep. Next to the shul. Okay.
Yeah, and the shul is approximately 3,400 square feet. Business center, 1,450 square feet. The gym, 1,200 square feet, and the rec room of 1,275 square feet. Again, all types of uses that are common in apartment buildings of this size.
Okay,
Brian,
so
if you can.
we'll get to it. I just wanted to clarify if
Yeah.
Franny misspoke or not. That's all.
No
Okay.
problem. Thank
We'll
you.
move forward. Okay. Brian, are you going first?
Yes. This property is shown on sheet 52 of the tax map. I don't know if that's been submitted to the board. I'm sure the board, everybody's familiar with where this is. It's on Route 88, where the old lumber yard was adjoining the railroad tracks, just east of the railroad tracks on Ocean Avenue. It's a site that was fully developed. The lumber yard has been vacant for quite some time. And we're proposing a building that provides 99 multifamily units with uses in the building for the benefit of the residents. The plans that we submitted show the building as described in Terry's report. There's a parking garage under 3 stories of the building. Architectural plans were submitted. I guess we could mark sheet 3 of 11 as A1. That's the access out to East 2nd Street. On this particular plan, there's the match line that attaches where the circular drive is that follows the railroad tracks out to East 2nd Street. The city has access for vehicular access on Ocean Avenue and East 2nd Street all along the railroad tracks. We could probably mark A2 as the architectural rendering, and it shows the view along Ocean Avenue, which will be a vast improvement to the area. I think when you put things into context, on Route 9, we had that old building Route 9 and 6. We had an old Capitol building, a horrendous. An application was brought to this board, a building that was for apartments with the same concept with parking underneath it. And I know when I've gone by that site, in my opinion, it turned out as it was presented to the board that it was going to be a vast improvement, and it provided numerous housing opportunities. We're looking at this area. This property is located just on the other side of the railroad tracks from the B2 zone where this would be a permitted use. We are asking for a height variance of 49 feet where 45 feet is required. But it's a building that, in my opinion, fits well into the neighborhood, and it's a good transition use from some of the other properties that are around here along the Route 88 corridor. So if we start on Terry's report, in the project description, he indicates that we're proposing 99 units, 37 of which would be 1 bedroom and 62 would be 2 bedrooms. So these are apartments for 1 and 2 bedroom apartments to provide a necessary housing component. We're proposing 252 parking spaces with it. And as Adam indicated, the 252 parking spaces is in accordance with the ordinance. Looking at the zoning and waivers on page 3 of Terry's report, the reason.
Excuse me, Mr. Flannery, don't sell yourself short. Only 209 are required. You're putting in 252 spaces, right?
Yes,
Okay.
and right, and I was going to say that again. It's just I wanted to lay out what we're providing here for the board: the 252 spaces, a 3-story multifamily on top of a parking garage.
If I could ask a question, Chairman, quickly. The parking ratio shown on the plan, is that RSIS? In other words, the
Yes.
parking
Yeah.
calculate, okay. Is that consistent with RSIS?
And those were prepared by KBA Engineering, and Joe Kachuba is here that he can get into any of the engineering details further on.
That's fine. I just went on the
Relief
record.
that's required on page 3. Okay, so the relief that's on page 3, the reason we're here, number one, is we're in the B4 zone, and the multifamily dwellings are not a permitted use. There's a lot of other intense uses that are allowed in the B4 zone, and in other areas of the B4 zone, those uses are very appropriate. Here, I think the close proximity to the downtown area, the close proximity to the bus station, a project of this nature fits. But that is the reason we're here, and I'll give the testimony on why it's my professional opinion that the use variance is warranted. Also have a couple of bulk variances, minimum front yard setback. We're proposing 9 feet where 25 feet is required. I think everybody is familiar with the pre-existing buildings on this property where they were right up to the property line. They're right up to the front property line. And we're sort of almost in the downtown area where there are a lot of buildings that are right on the property line. I think when you look at the rendering on A2, it's a beautiful project that will fit in very well with the neighborhood. We also need minimum side yard setback. We're asking for 0 feet where 10 feet is required. And the lumber yard that was there actually encroached over the property line. A bulk variance, we're asking for building height, which I indicated earlier, 49 feet, where 45 feet is required. If the board remembers, there was an application that was submitted previously on this property, which was a little more aggressive, and it was a 64-foot high building, which some of the feedback we got was it was a little too intense. This, if you look at it, the architecture is a very upscale project, and something that I think when it gets built, if the board acts favorably, everybody's going to think a very good use of the property. Terry's report indicates parking relief is required, but I pulled over from a previous report because what he indicates is 252 spaces are proposed. And only 209 are required.
Brian, 1 second. 252 and only has 228.
228 are inside the parking garage. There's a different additional parking outside.
Oh, outside in the curb. You mean which curb?
Outside the 228 is underneath the building. Then we have a few spaces up by the circle, and then we have an outdoor parking area along the railroad side.
Okay, outside when currently it's empty. Okay, I see.
But all the spaces are going to be on your property, be there underneath or.
That is correct. 228 inside, and the remainder of them are outside on our property.
Brian, one quick question also. You said there's 37 one-bedroom apartments. One bedroom with a child room is called one bedroom, and one bedroom with a study is also one bedroom?
Yes.
So that's is like 1.5 bedrooms? Like what's a one? Then a one bedroom is 6 feet? 2 bedrooms or one bedroom?
I'm also an architect, as the board knows, and when you draw apartments, we only have bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3 bedrooms. There's certainly a layperson looking at it can say these are much nicer 1 bedrooms, maybe they're 1.5 bedrooms, but the architecture on the plans, there are 37 1 bedrooms and the rest are 2 bedrooms. Another comment in the report is that we're requesting a waiver from sidewalk along Ocean Avenue. We're not requesting that waiver. We understand sidewalk is needed, and a design waiver from providing street trees along East 2nd Street. And we really have very limited frontage on East 2nd Street, so there's really nowhere to plant the trees. So if we look at the justification.
I'm sorry, I only got part of it. Did you say that the waiver request for sidewalks is being removed?
We are not requesting a waiver. We will provide sidewalk along Ocean Avenue.
Okay, and Boulder Way?
We don't front on Boulder Way, so we can't provide sidewalk there. And 2nd Street, where we do have frontage, all we have is the width for a driveway. So there's really no place to put sidewalk on East 2nd. No place to put sidewalk or street trees on East 2nd. It's only wide enough for a 2-way driveway to provide a secondary access. So getting back to the justification, the master plan of 2017 on page 2 on population growth goes into all the population growth. It concludes on page 3 that based on this information, it's therefore important for Lakewood to plan for residential development to house its growing population. And this project certainly does that. It provides a unique housing opportunity that, in my opinion, is greatly needed in Lakewood at this time. The same master plan, the vision statement on page 7 says encourage development and redevelopment based on smart growth planning principles. And I think because of the unique location of this property, this is an ideal project for this area. It provides the housing opportunities in walkable conditions to the downtown, to the bus station. It says on page 8 of the same master plan, under master plan strategies, it says create a range of housing opportunities and choices, and this is certainly doing that. It's providing a much needed type of housing. Number 7 on that same page under master plan strategy says encourage the redevelopment of existing underutilized sites. And the lumberyard at this location certainly qualifies as an underutilized site, and to the extent that because of its location it was no longer viable, it's remained vacant for quite some time now. Going to the municipal land use law, NJAC 40:55D2 under the Purposes Act, A is encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in a state in a manner which will promote public health, safety, and morals and general welfare. And G is provide sufficient space and appropriate locations for a variety of agricultural, residential, recreational, commercial, and industrial uses. So we are asking for C variances for the bulk variances, which in my opinion, based on the site and the pre-existing buildings, the benefits of those variance relief would outweigh any detriment. For the use itself, it's a D variance, and we have to show the special reasons. And typically, special reasons would fall into 3 different categories: an inherently beneficial use, of which we're not; a hardship, which it's really not. It's more that it improves the public welfare and the public good. And the public good is by providing a property that's uniquely suited for this property, and it's uniquely suited by its location. It's along a railroad track. It's on a state highway. It adjoins the B2 zone, which would permit this use, and the B2 zone would permit this use at 65 feet high. So we're transitioning from the B2 to this area on this specific site. we need to show the positive and negative criteria. The positive criteria was what was outlined in the master plan. With respect to the negative criteria, we have to show that we're not going to adversely impact the adjoining property owners, and we have to indicate that the relief can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance. And my testimony is because of where this property is located along railroad tracks, immediately adjacent to the B2, that criteria certainly meets. And it's my testimony that it meets the special reasons appropriate for that. Looking at the other items in the report, Terry indicates we need to provide testimony on how a building could be built right on the property line. And ideally, if the board acts favorably, the applicant will meet with the neighbors and come to a plan on how that would be done. If the neighbors don't grant them access, buildings like this are built in cities all the time where sometimes you need sheet piling to hold things in place, and it can be done. You have a crane and you put one thing on top of the other. So if the board acts favorably, we could certainly present a plan during resolution compliance to the board engineer indicating how this would be built according to that. Terry also asked with respect to the parking garage, will there be assigned parking spaces? And the answer is yes, the parking spaces will be assigned. At least one space to each unit. Some of the units that are larger will be more than that. We have Scott Kennellis here this evening. He could give more on the traffic aspects of it. Terry's report indicates that Conrail approval is required during resolution compliance. We would certainly address with Conrail, with Terry, where we have a right to do that with respect to Conrail. I'm not sure that an actual approval is required, but we would, during resolution compliance, if the board acts favorably, satisfy the board engineer with respect to that. With respect to the trash, that will be picked up by private carrier.
I'm sorry, Mr. Flannery, can you go back to Conrail again? I missed part of that. Sorry, please say it again, sir.
We're going to comply with Terry's comment. It says Conrail approval or proof of no jurisdiction will be required. And if the board acts favorably, we will either get Conrail approval or give the board engineer proof of no jurisdiction with respect to that. I think all of the other items in the report, we would agree to satisfy the comments listed. I don't see any others that require testimony.
Mr. Chairman, do you or the board members have any questions of Mr. Flannery?
I'm sorry. Thanks, Adam. I was just realizing that I was talking and I was on mute. Brian, I'm studying what you said, and I was looking at the plans as you were discussing it. One question that just pops in my mind is, how is that trash going to be picked up if it's in an underground garage or in the first floor garage?
The trash will be.
The trash pickup is like right smack in the middle of all those cars, in the middle of the parking lot. There's two of them. There's two trash containers, I noticed.
Yeah. The building will have maintenance that we get the trash to the receptacle on the outside where a truck could pull in, pick it up, and head on out.
So this wait. What'd you say?
The building will have maintenance personnel that will get the trash to the trash enclosure on the outside.
They're gonna roll those huge green containers all the way through the parking garage to the outside.
They're going to do what's needed to get the trash out there. Yes,
I understand that, but we have a problem where it's situated. That's the only thing that came to my mind right now.
But it seems like.
Mr. Flannery, how big are these dumpsters going to be, and are they going to be on wheels?
What is a proposed 16 by 16 trash enclosure? My suggestion
Okay,
on
I'm
this
back.
particular, my suggestion on this particular issue is the chairman indicated we're going to stop at a certain time. There's probably going to be other items that the board would like to address. To get you specific information from the applicant and the architect on specific details of the trash removal at the next meeting when we come back.
Brian,
So now you-
Mr.
So
Chairman,
now,
on this question, Mr. Kashuba is also on the call. He was also the engineer. I'm not sure if he has any other.
Through the chair.
The trash.
yes, Jerry, go ahead,
If you
Jerry.
could swear in Mr. Kashuba.
Sure.
Through the chair, it's Moish.
Moish, give me 1 second. Let Jerry finish swearing in Mr. Kashuba.
Mr. Kashuba, raise your right. Do you swear or affirm that you'll tell the whole truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Michael, did you have a question?
Mr. Kashuba, 1 second. I see Moish wanted to say something. Moish, go ahead.
Abe, I appreciate you asking about the garbage cans, but I'm still not convinced I heard any testimony that we can convert from on the whole structure, going from a commercial area to a residential area on a main highway, crisscrossed by train tracks. I want to work on the use first before we go into the details.
That's fine. I didn't get to that. That's the only blatant thing that stared at my face when I looked at it and I see that the trash is right in the center of the parking garage, not even at the entranceways. So I just have to bring it up. And I said it's only
the answer we've heard in the past is they're gonna have midget garbage trucks coming in. You remember those?
There's no midget garbage trucks in the underground garage over here. I know that.
That's what we've heard in the past. There was
Like
not
IKEA.
garbage trucks by midgets coming in.
Some sort of a violation.
Yeah, IKEA. That's right. Yeah, it's like IKEA furniture, the old-fashioned one. The IKEA furniture has to fit. Okay, Mr. Kashuba, you want to speak about the garbage?
Certainly I can.
Just hold off. I just brought it up as a discussion. We're not going to ask for an answer now. Let's just go through it all. I just brought it up because it was like staring at my face. I had to get it off my chest. Okay, just hold on to that. I heard one answer from Brian Flannery that we're going to come back next month with the answer. So that means that according to Brian, we're not closing this application for tonight. But we'll wait to
According
see.
to me, we're going to try to finish it tonight.
That's what you said. That's right. Okay.
I think
hold on with the
we
garbage.
can finish this tonight, Abe.
I know.
Let's
I'm going
give
to
it a
shoot
shot.
for it. Give it a shot. Okay. Mr. Scott Kennels, we're going to have your testimony now. So that will come back and we'll circle back with all the other issues that we need. So let's get that out of the way.
All right, Scott Kennel with McDonough and Ray Associates, 1431 Lakewood Road, Manasquan. I'm qualified as a traffic expert. I'm a principal with McDonough and Ray Associates with over 35 years of traffic and transportation planning experience. Having prepared over 1,000.
Mr. Keeley, your qualifications have been accepted by this board in the past. Let's keep going.
Okay, thank you. So my office prepared a traffic study dated July.
Mr. Kennel, we can hardly hear you. Can you please speak up? Or can you put your volume, do something on your computer?
Okay. Is that better?
We'll try it. Go ahead. Let's try it.
Okay. My office prepared a traffic impact study dated July 21, 2020. And the traffic study takes into consideration the land use plan as described by Brian Flannery. The initial step was to collect traffic counts. Traffic counts were collected in February of 2019 along Route 88 and along 2nd Street.
February of 2019?
February 2019.
Let me just look at a calendar a minute. Okay, go ahead. You continue. I'm going to look at a calendar.
COVID state of emergency was March 9th. So we were a month before the COVID state of emergency.
So you mean 2020, not 2019?
Did our traffic counts in February 2019.
A year before.
So it's a year before
Yeah,
COVID.
so correct. So it's 2 years since we've done And the traffic counts revealed that the morning peak hours from 9 to 10 a.m. and 3:15 to 4:15 in the afternoon. The traffic volumes on Route 88 are approximately 1,200 vehicles two-way. And on East 2nd Street, there's approximately 445 during the morning and 312 in the afternoon. The Institute of Transportation Engineers trip generation manual was consulted as far as traffic projections for the 99 apartments. And it was determined that the 99 apartments would generate approximately 64 trips in the morning and 74 in the afternoon. It's important to recognize that, as was stated earlier, that this is a redevelopment of a site that had a use that obviously has declined, but in its heyday and fully operational is approximately 18,000 to 20,000 square feet. In consulting the ITE trip generation data for that size building supply company, it would generate 72 trips in the morning, 84 trips in the afternoon. In other words, if this site was reactivated as a building supply, it is expected that it would generate traffic comparable, if not a little bit higher, than what we're projecting, 99 apartments.
So you're saying that this apartment complex is not going to generate much more traffic than it's there now?
Not now, because it's not fully operational. The building supply operation is not what it used to be. But if someone came in and rehabbed the site as a fully functioning building supply, as it may have been, say, 10, 15 years ago, the traffic generation is comparable to what the apartments are going to generate.
Okay.
I'm just giving the board some context as far as change in use. It doesn't mean I took any credits for traffic. I'm just trying to give the board context as far as how it compares with the pre-existing use. So then we analyzed the site access points for a build year of 2030.
Hold on one second. I hear some echoing in the background. Moish, can you can you mute your camera? I'm sorry, mute your, thank you. Okay,
All right, so
go ahead.
once we have the anticipated traffic from the apartments, we looked at a build year consistent with the Ocean County Planning Board protocol. We looked at a 10-year build out to a 2030 design year, and we included approximately 10% growth. And there was a previously approved development just 2 lots to the east. That was a mixed use development that we considered in the analysis. It's important to recognize that as far as Route 88 access is concerned, the site currently has the ability to have 3 access points. We're only going to provide 1 access point that is going to be right in, right out only, no left turns. And that is something that I had strongly suggested when I got involved because of the proximity to the railroad tracks and the traffic volumes on Route 88. So the plan has incorporated right in, right out on Route 88, and then full movements will be permitted out to East 2nd Street, which is obviously a lower traffic volume street. And it's still going to provide optimum access to the roadway network. And with that, the Route 88 driveways is projected to operate level service C, and the East 2nd Street access is projected to operate level service B. And again, that's attributed to the lower volumes on East 2nd Street. As far as the site plan is concerned, as Brian has testified, the 209 parking spaces are required. We're providing 202, so we're providing in excess of what's required. It's expected that there would be 1 space assigned to each unit, and then the balance of the parking spaces would be open for visitors, or if, say, the 2-bedroom units have own 2 vehicles. But again, the parking supply proposed exceeds the RSIS requirements. And I think it's also important to note, since this site is so close to the central business district, there's a likelihood that vehicle ownerships will be around 1, especially for when you consider that 33% of the dwellings are 1-bedroom apartments. The access in the site's been designed to accommodate refuse vehicles. So in summary, it's my opinion that the driveways can operate at safe and efficient manner at good levels of service. The parking proposed
Okay.
the excess of the RSIS requirement, and the trip generation for this type of development is no greater than if the site was refurbished and operated as a building supply company. That completes my testimony.
Okay, just one quick question.
Just two questions, Chairman.
One second. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna go in a second, Terry. What day was that, Scott? What day was that taken? You said to February of 2019. Do you have an exact date?
I'll give you the exact dates. 1 second. They were conducted on February 8th, February 21st, February 7th, and February 19th. So counts were conducted over those 4 days.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, correct.
Two years ago.
Correct.
Okay. Terry, go ahead. I just want to look something up. Go ahead, Terry. You can go forward, Terry.
Thank you, Chairman. Just wanted to confirm, Scott, the dates of the counts. You feel that they're still valid for analysis in 2021?
Yes, given we've done other data collection in Lakewood, the Lakewood traffic counts are generally consistent with what we've recorded over the last couple of years. And I also added additional growth as required by Ocean County and NJDOT.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Kennel, wouldn't an argument be, in support of that, that there are probably more cars on the street pre-COVID? I mean, COVID, people weren't as much going to work. So
That's correct.
It's a higher traffic count, so to speak, rather than 2020.
Correct. Doesn't have the impact of COVID and how that affected people's commuting patterns and things of that nature. Correct.
Can either you or Mr. Flannery opine, this is the B4 zone. What else could be a permitted, other than the lumberyard that you've testified about? What else could be a permitted use in the zone on this property? And about how many parking spaces would be needed for that type of use as opposed to what you're proposing here?
Brian, I don't have that list in front of me. Maybe Brian is more versed.
Mr. Flannery, did you hear me?
I did, but I have to unmute before I can answer.
That's the way it works.
Yes. So the B4 zone, which is the wholesale service zone, allows all permitted uses in the B3 district except for multifamily. So if you look at what's in the B3 district, it goes back to the B1 district. Everything that's permitted in the B1 except for multifamily. So the B1 allows grocery and food stores, which certainly would have more parking and more traffic than what we're proposing. Drug and pharmaceuticals, hardware, newspapers. The other thing I'd like to point out is that the B4 also allows townhouse development. So we could have 25 townhouse units, and whenever I'm in with duplexes or townhouses, someone always points out to me that each one of them has a basement unit. So instead of 25, it's really 50. And then if we look at the number of bedrooms and the number of cars required for those dwelling units, we're going to end up with more bedrooms than what we're proposing here, and more vehicles.
Brian is.
Mr. Kennel, the fact that this property is close to the bus station and certainly close to the railroad station, does that positively or negatively impact on the traffic generated from the site and/or the parking spaces?
Well, smart growth planning sort of tries to get you to move your development consistent with what's around. So if we have a bus station, 1 in 10 super apartments are the ideal thing near a bus station. When you have the townhouse duplexes, you have families which more tend to have cars. So the 1 and 2 bedrooms are more of the people that could walk to the downtown, walk to the bus station. Unfortunately, the train doesn't run anymore. If it run, that would be a good thing for Lakewood in that area. I know that there's a lot of pushes to get a train station there, and if the train station was there, that would work it. But being near the downtown area and being near the bus station is certainly one of the items that makes this fit in with the area and would reduce the need for transportation and fits in the category that I would define as park growth.
Great, thank you.
Brian, you mentioned before that 25, a number of 25 units. That number you just threw out, or you actually measured it could be 25? That means it could be really more.
Well, the ordinance for the townhouses allows at 8 units per acre, and we have over 3 acres. So when you do the math, you're allowed to get 25. And then on townhouses, as opposed to duplexes, they stack in much tighter. And it's my opinion you could get that 25 townhouses, which I don't think would be appropriate for this area. The townhouse occupants of the townhouses are more likely to have large families and less likely to be walking to the bus station. You see the type of people that go to the bus station. It's typically not a family with 6 kids going to the bus station. Because of this location next to the railroad tracks, and the trains still come, and the trains have that negative impact. One of them fell off the track weeks ago. The train fell off the track, but they come in and they're noisy. And if you've ever been around when the trains are there, it's not something that's ideal for a semi-detached housing, as opposed to the apartment building, which can incorporate the soundproofing, which also has other amenities, which make impact downtown more compatible with what's being proposed.
And how many people get in there?
What's the question?
How many duplexes could one fit in this piece?
Duplexes would also be permitted on here. You'd get less duplexes. Typically, you'd get 6.5 to 7. So if it was 7, you'd have 20 duplexes.
20 front doors, which is 40, basically.
Yes. Yes.
Well, Brian, it's very oddly shaped. I don't know if you can fit them really. Realistically speaking, I don't know if you can fit those duplexes there.
The duplexes, I'm not sure how you'd fit because it is an odd shape, but that's why I said with the townhouses can accommodate those kind of spaces, and you can have the townhouses. And I'm very confident that you get 25 townhouses in there. But I don't think it's the right spot to jam the 25 townhouses in that are going to, be catering toward. Certainly, the basements in the townhouses provide the housing opportunities for the smaller families, but the townhouses above them with 6 bedrooms and then attics and all the other bedrooms that are available, you'd end up with more bedrooms in townhouses than you will in this apartment proposal.
Yeah, I'm just making the calculation now. If you have 25 townhouses, you got approximately 5-6 bedrooms plus the basements. You got about 120, 130 bedrooms. As a 91 apartment, you have about the same bedrooms.
If you have 25 townhouses with 6 bedrooms in them, that's 25 basement bedrooms in it. That's another 50. So you're up to 200. 200 bedrooms, and we're at 161 bedrooms.
I just want to, I want to jump in a second. Moshe, give me a second, Moshe. I just want to jump in a minute to Scott Kennel. Scott, I just looked at the calendar while that's actually the dates. Are you aware that since then, there were a lot of new construction down on Route 88 by Holly Street, Cherry, Oakland, that added on to the traffic on Route 88? I'm just wondered if you took that into consideration. B, I was wondering if you took into consideration the fact that the girls' school, the Lakewood Girls' School, bought a couple more properties on Park Avenue, which is going to use Second Street as a main function, a road. And is that going to affect your study? So we have two projects that are coming there, and how is that going to affect your study?
Well, as far as the additional dwellings that have been constructed on Route 88, not everybody that new units just use Route 88 to go east-west. Obviously, there's a street network that goes north-south, but our traffic growth accounted for approximately an extra 100 to 130 vehicles on Route 88 during the peak hours. So in my opinion, it has accounted for additional developments that may have been constructed since February of 2019 or that are planned in the near future. As far as the girls' school, I was made aware of that about a month ago, and I have been retained to do that traffic study. So that again, that's a new development that is I'm just trying to get a better understanding on. We're in the process of conducting the traffic counts, and I still have to get information from the school operator on what the expansion means for increase of traffic. But that will add additional traffic to South Park Avenue, and it's going to add additional traffic to East 2nd Street. I'm of the opinion that the additional traffic on Second Street is really not going to measurably change the quality of the site access. It's operating at level service B in our projection for 2030. If it goes to level service C, it's still consistent with the acceptable traffic engineering parameters.
Mr. Chairman, if I may just interject over here, I'm a little bit familiar with the school. The idea of the extension is not to expand the amount of kids coming. It's just to give them more room as far as a room to be able to do activities, bigger classrooms. It's the same amount of kids, the same amount of teachers. That's my understanding. I'm not making a testimony over here. But I'm not sure this expansion is going to add on too much more traffic.
Okay, I'm not sure. Moshe Langley wants to say something.
I have three questions. One for Jerry Dasty, Scott Kennel, and Brian. I'll start with Jerry Dasty. Jerry, could you explain to me what the burden of proof for the applicant is on this application?
Well, with regard to the use variances, because it's not a permitted use in the zone, under the subsection 70D of the statute of the Minnesota Land Use Law, there has to be proofs that this will not adversely affect the neighborhood. It is not. It would be in general compliance with the zone plan that the benefits to the neighborhood would outweigh any detriments to the neighborhood. Generally speaking, that's the use variance. The bulk variances are for the front setback and those, and again, the applicant should show that these variances won't adversely affect the public or the surrounding area, that the applicant, for instance, may not have an option as to try to avoid those variances. So that's generally speaking, that's where we are.
Okay. Mayor?
The applicant is trying to show that the benefits outweigh the detriments, right? Is that, and he's going back to the master plan for new housing? Is that
Well, that's part of it, and without, I don't mean to, quote Mr. Flannery, but also that this is a vacant, deteriorated building, which is, first of all, not generating any revenues. Secondly, something should go there to upgrade the area, and this is a proposal which will make that property and the surrounding area, presumably for the sake of the discussion, better without a big negative impact. And that's why I asked about what other uses would be allowed in the B4 zone and what would those traffic impacts be. And Mr. Flannery said you could put a shopping center there. And the traffic requirements for a shopping center would be more than what's required for this complex. So,
well, a shopping center would be a pure rateable for the township, whereas apartment building usually doesn't even cover its own expenses, in my opinion. So when we say benefits outweigh detriments, am I taking on Lakewood Township, benefit for Lakewood Township, benefit for the taxpayer, a benefit for the neighbors in the area, or all the above?
Well, pretty much all of the above, with the exception that you can't zone for taxes, so to speak. This property presumably was constructed, and I'm
Can I
sorry, I
interrupt
don't
a second?
here.
Mayor Kelly, can you please put yourself on mute?
I think Terry should mute too. Thank you.
Here, my
Value would be based upon the gross rent income. That's what they would, figure out what this property is worth. The fact that it's presumably for the sake of discussion, to get to your point, Mush, we might generate more tax money. That's not a reason to grant this application. So that's not one of, if I said something along those lines, then I said something that wasn't correct. I don't want to be misinterpreted. Taxes are not a reason to zone one way or the other, but dilapidated, vacant, unused properties, eyesore properties, that is a reason. So,
It's unused or it's unused or dilapidated for no reason except the developer is waiting for the proper, to maximize his development. When we approved the Capitol, there was a lot of pressure from the town. There was a lot of crime in that building. There was prostitution, drugs, muggings going on a daily basis. There was a whole rap sheet coming. So we were doing the town a favor by approving such a project. Here, he can build a strip mall and tomorrow, and people will all be happy. So was he trying to correlate the Capitol to this building? Did you hear that in his testimony?
that's not a question for me to answer.
All right.
He said the testimony from Mr. Flannery, which at this point is expert testimony, not contradicted, is that, this will be a betterment for the neighborhood.
Okay.
And it would be in compliance with the goals of the master plan. That's his testimony.
Very good.
One second, please. I need to interrupt. I promised Mr. Snyder that I would circle back to him 10 minutes ago.
I got two more questions, Abe, when you come back.
Okay, Mr. Snyder?
Yes.
I would recommend we table your application the way this is going now.
Okay, what I would then ask, it doesn't sound like we're likely to get heard or certainly made any progress. What I would then ask is that the matter be carried to the March 1st meeting of the board without the requirements for any additional notice, and that the applicant grants an extension of time.
No problem. Can I have a motion on that from anyone? Motion from Mayor Gelli. Can I have a second one? Second from Mike Schlankery. Madam Secretary, can we have a motion to table the cell tower?
To March 1st meeting,
To March
March 1st.
Yes.
Partnership?
All in favor? We want to
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so anyone that's on the Zoom call now,
Thank you.
for the Cellco Partnership 4169 will be heard back again on Zoom on March 1st. Thank you. Sorry,
Be
Mr.
safe.
Schneider. Good night and good luck. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, Moish, back to you.
Okay, traffic study engineer? I'm sorry, Mr. Cannell?
Yes.
Was that your name?
Scott.
Kennel.
Scott Cannell.
Kennell. How are you, Scott?
We're doing
Good
well.
to see you again. I have a question for you. Traffic studies is a interesting science. Do you take into account that Second Street is lined with buses on a daily basis? It's basically a one-way street and people can't get up and down. And on Ocean Avenue, maybe part of the reason that cars can't, that your low numbers are there is because they're standing still and people using secondary avenues. So if it's not going to add, it's because people can't get through the intersections because there's so much traffic.
Again, I'm aware. I'm aware on Route 88. There's occasions where traffic.
1 second, let me interrupt that. But going on Moish's question right now, what time of the day was your study? Based on that question.
The traffic counts were conducted from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay, so it was through the bus services. Now continue to answer Moish's question. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm aware that Route 88 on occasion will back up to this site if not past. And that is why I strongly suggested that the site access be limited to right in, right out. Because you don't want people trying to make left turns across standing traffic. It's just the nature of certain loading. It happens down at the traffic signal at Clifton And we're also, it's an improvement with this site that we're closing other driveways. We're basically doing a driveway diet by reducing the number of conflict points, which allow left turns, to only right in, right out. So it's my opinion that this access scheme is better than what exists if the site was redeveloped as and refurbished as either a building supply or some other higher traffic generator use.
Okay.
Through the chair.
One second, let Moish finish.
Oh, I'm
Let
sorry.
Moish finish. Go ahead.
I just got a couple more questions, and I have some questions for Brian, and I'll be done. Scott, one of the most busiest time of the day in the downtown area, Route 88, Clifton Avenue, 2nd Street, Route 9, is from 1 o'clock to 2:30. Your traffic study there are about 5,000 students, maybe 6,000 students are released at 1:30, between 1 and 2, all at the same time. But your traffic study doesn't handle that.
Well, there's also a number of schools where they're released at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 3:30. I mean,
those are children on buses. My point is, those are children on buses. This is BMG, adults with a lot of cars. The traffic study didn't address that. There is a backup at 2 o'clock from Route 88 all the way to 9th Street with bumper to bumper traffic, and it clears out about 2:45. I see it on a daily basis, but your traffic study doesn't absorb that.
Well, again, we're looking at this residential development, which is going to generate its highest peaks during the peak hours that I've identified. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be traffic coming from this site during the middle of the day, but the traffic volumes that will be generated by this site from 1:30, 2 o'clock are not as high as they would be in the morning. I mean, and that's what we generally focus on. I can provide. I have to look at my research. I mean, my database. I may have traffic data that shows that hourly basis on a 24-hour case, and that would be, I'd have to review the DOT database. But if you want that information, I can probably.
No, I know that information. I understand. I'm not questioning it. Just the Lakewood is unique. Your numbers during COVID could probably be accurate as they will be in a year from now, because Lakewood, basically COVID is over and the students are not affected. The students in BMG are. Lakewood is unique. It doesn't go with regular traffic flows. As you know, you've been here for a very long time. You know, also the morning traffic flow, you're in a normal town, it's the school buses and school kids going to school, so 7 a.m. to 7 to 9 would cover it. Is that what your traffic study?
No,
it's from 7 a.m. to 9?
Is 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the highest peak, and that's usually coincidental with start times for schools in the area, elementary schools. And,
right.
So, and whether it's parents that are dropping children off at school and then going to work. So that's why, Lakewood, generally the peak hour occurs anytime after 8:45 to 10 o'clock, where in many other communities it's 7:30 to 8:30 or 7 to 8. So I'm very well aware of it, and that's why we count till 10 o'clock in the morning.
Scott, the main time to do a traffic study in Lakewood, besides the morning, is at 1:30, 1:45 till 3.
I agree with Mayor.
In the afternoon.
Okay.
FYI.
In that area.
Okay, FYI.
I have a question for Brian now.
Let's go from one to the other. Moish, continue.
Scott, thank you. I'm going to ask my final questions to Brian.
Before you can, Moish, let me interrupt you for a minute before you jump to Brian. Scott, following up on Moish right over here, what did you use as the main entrance to the building, 2nd Street or Main Street? Because I look at the building, there are 2 lobbies. There's a lobby by 2nd Street entrance, and there's a lobby by the Main Street entrance. And what was your interpretation as reference to your traffic coming in off 2nd Street into the project, or parking and coming in from Main Street?
Given the fact that we're suggesting left turn prohibitions on 88, traffic was distributed 50-50 between the two driveways. And that's identified in our traffic report, and it's more specifically called out on figure 3 of our report, where you can see the traffic movements we're projecting in and out at both driveways.
Got it. Okay, much continue.
Abe, let me just go further on your question. I'll just, you bring up a good point, Abe. Let me expand on that, Scott. There is a
May I
main
turn off your
difference
mic, please?
between this project. There's a
There's
there's
no-
a main difference. Is Scott still
I
there?
don't know. Every mic that's on, it interferes. Go ahead.
Scott, are you still here?
I am.
Okay. The project that was approved on Route 9, it's on a square block. And when people are coming down Route 9, they make a right turn off the heavy traffic and come into the block, into the parking lot. Or they can come from Clifton Avenue around the other side and come in. We were very hesitant to approve that project, but they built a nice building. This building this project is very well planned. The architecture looks beautiful. I'm just not sure the location is the right place or the zoning is in the right place. But the project is a beautiful project. But my main concern is when people are coming down 88 or making a left, coming up 88 and trying to get in, crossing through, make a left hand to get into the parking lot. They don't have a square block where they can go around. There's only one direct route, safe route to get into the parking lot is coming from, let's say, Bricktown to make from that direction. What is that, north or south? Whatever direction.
Going west.
Turning in.
Going west.
Going west. And everybody else is going to have to cross a double yellow to get into the parking lot.
Well, if they do that, they're going to be doing an illegal movement because, again, it's a right in, right out. And if someone wants to leave the building, and then first of all, you have to realize this is not a transient use like a retail where you'd have people who are not familiar. These are going to be residents who are familiar with the best way to access to and from this building. And if they want to go back west on Route 88, they go out to East 2nd Street and make a right and work their way to South Park Avenue to go down to 88, where left turns are permitted at that intersection.
2nd Street, which I'm on every day, it is very close. And then would go up South Park Avenue?
They can go up south. That is an option for them. I mean, there are.
That's on paper. You have to see what those streets look like. It's not something that you can move around in that area. It's very, very dense and traffic oriented.
I understand. That's why we're in a central business district.
Right.
And that's why we're suggesting a use that is not a higher traffic generated than what's before you or what was there before.
Okay. Can I speak to Brian?
Sure.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you.
Speaking to Brian.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Very good.
You know what I'm going to say.
It's not a rateable. It's not a rateable, but
bingo. You're taking my rateable and you're putting apartments in there. You're not even putting townhouses or duplexes, single family. Well, I don't expect you to put single family houses, but a little strip mall in there or with office space, Brian, with a rateable for Lakewood and safety for the kids.
But we have rateables in the downtown area, and what the downtown area need in order for those rateables to be more viable is residents living nearby that can walk there. And that's the whole intent of this particular location, that it is a walkable community. It's 1 in 10 2-bedroom apartments. If we put a business in there, it's a better rateable. My thinking is let's have the businesses in the downtown area build up and be good rateables there, and provide the housing opportunities that are needed rather than spreading all these people. These people that are in the 1 in 10 2-bedroom apartments, if we don't have a facility like this, they're going to be in basements in the duplexes and townhouses all over, and they're going to have to drive further. So it's going to be the same people driving, but they're not going to have an opportunity to walk. It's my testimony. This gives them an opportunity to walk. And you had asked Jerry what we needed to show to get the variance? because
Yes.
this is not an inherently beneficial use, we need to show that it promotes the general welfare. And generally that's shown in the sense that it's desirable to the applicant and the immediate neighbors, and it's attractive and provides jobs and services and products or rateables and recreation. So this isn't one that provides the rateables, but it's attractive. It provides all those other things. And also I have to show to the board that the proposed site is particularly suited for the proposed use. Now, if this wasn't if it wasn't adjoining the B2 where something like this is allowed, if it was further out, further east on 88 or Brick, it wouldn't make any sense. Nobody can walk. All it's going to do is have people driving from out that area into the downtown for any of their shopping needs. The building has a shul, it has a recreation area, it has things so a lot of the people can stay in the building. And it's my opinion, as far as a rateables, nothing beats a retail as a rateable. But when you look at the residential where that's not a rateable, it's the number of kids that get on buses. And by having 37 one-bedroom apartments and the rest two-bedroom apartments, we limit the number of children. As I indicated before, if you look at the number of bedrooms on a approvable permitted use townhouses, we have 200 bedrooms. We're going with 161.
So general welfare, could you give me a little more detail on that, how that works? Or that's something I should ask Jerry? Or Jerry, will let him explain and tell me if you concur. Or Adam.
The normal general welfare is that in the sense that it's desirable to the applicant and the immediate neighbors. And I think when we showed A2, that is desirable. It's attractive. It provides jobs and services.
How do you provide jobs?
Well, the jobs and services, we don't tick all these boxes. We don't tick the rateables, but we provide housing opportunities that's required. That's a goal of the master plan. And we all know that the 1 and 2 bedrooms, those are basements of townhouse units. And instead of having these families in basements of townhouse units, we have them in a building where they have a shul, where they have a laundry, where they have a gym, where they have a community room. So the board has to make this decision. But I think I've done my job in presenting how this does promote the general welfare, and that it's particularly suited because of the unique shape of the property and the location of the property. Being next to the railroad tracks is something that for the townhouses, they're not going to have the same soundproofing that this building would have.
Brian, if I could just add in also one other item that both I know Scott and Brian hit on is that, the other uses have much more intense traffic counts for their uses. What we're proposing is they
also have that.
Sorry,
they also generate the traffic, the retail and the business uses generate that traffic in the middle of the day in that 1 and 2 o'clock time frame. The 1 and 2 bedrooms, whether they're going to work or wherever they're going, the residential use like that is typically, one trip out, one trip back, and it doesn't all focus in the middle of the day where some of the business uses that are permitted would be.
The traffic, between me and you, the traffic from businesses is usually after the kids are in school or before they come back. Most businesses don't affect traffic as much as the traffic study might seem to imply, because the traffic study is going on a general. But a coexistence of business and residential works, because businesses close basically at 5, and the school day's either over or it didn't even start yet when the businesses are starting with the traffic.
So Mike, a couple things, Mike. It's the traffic's not a general count. It's a science. It's a method. It's over years of data. As far as traffic counts and moving, these are 1 and 2 bedroom apartments. These are small young families. just recently married, maybe one kid. I don't imagine that there's going to be anybody here really even with two kids. If they are, they're on their way out of this building. This is
Adam, this is Lakewood. There's gonna be 4 kids in those units. And then on buses.
I have to. I don't like to disagree with you, but
They're going to
have to. It
There's
just
gonna be
doesn't.
young kids that aren't school age kids. So, by the time the family gets to where it has kids that are going to school and 4 other kids, they have to move into.
Okay. Moish,
Okay, so.
are you done, Moish?
Yes.
Okay, let's hear from Judah now. Judah, go ahead. Moish, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Brian, just a couple of questions. You talked about a gym and a recreation area for the kids. Could you go into more detail about that, where it is, the size, what's going to be provided for the children?
Well, the recreation area, I don't think is for the kids because we're not gearing this for kids. We're gearing it for, the families that are.
I have the numbers. I have the numbers jotted down, and we do also have the architect. We could swear him in as well if you would like. But the recreation room is 1,275 square feet, which is large enough for about 26 people. The shul is 3,400 square feet, which is approximate. I don't have the square footage for that. The business center is 1,450 square feet. The gym is 1,200 square feet, and the social hall was 2,900 square feet. These are really just amenities.
3,400 feet.
Now these,
Thank you.
Adam,
Yes.
Adam, are these the business center, the social hall? Are those self-contained for the building itself?
Yes, this is not for outside, like another money-making opportunity. These are people who live in a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment. Excuse me, a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment, and need somewhere to send an email, send a fax, make a copy.
Mm-hmm.
So these are not going to be
thing for them to go do a quick workout and not have to leave the building.
On that note, these are not the social hall, the gym, and the shul will not be rented to outsiders from the neighborhood that want to come in.
It's for the building.
It's for the building.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Regarding the
2,900 square feet social hall equates to about 97 people.
Yeah, it's not a big place. What is the what are the size of the 1 bedroom square footage and 2 bedroom apartments?
Brian, do you have that, or do you want me to swear in the architect?
Swear in the architect.
No problem.
Can that gentleman, I don't know who it is, can he raise his right hand, please? I'm sorry.
I don't see anyone.
Hold on. He was on a few minutes ago. 1 second.
What's his name?
Sirocco.
I'm Sirocco.
You there?
It's Jerry. The measurements are here. 1 bedroom with a study is 938 square feet. 1 bedroom with a child room is 964 square feet. 1 bedroom plain 802 square feet, and 2 bedroom 1169. That's what it's in the renderings here.
Okay, so is there even a thought about little children with a play area, some kind of playground of any kind?
Terraces. And the plans is a terrace.
Yeah.
So I remember when they were doing the building, the Capitol, the old Capitol, there was an issue about some type of play area. The apartments were in similar size. They were even a little bit bigger. And there was some issue as to some type of area where the kids could play. They'll air out somewhere.
There's several common area terraces that are available. And again, do we find Mr. Sirocco?
Is John Sirocco, you on?
Mr. Sirocco, would you raise your right hand, sir?
He's not on yet.
Oh,
I just called him. He heard the chairman push off a meeting. He thought that was this application, so he went off.
Okay.
He's not used to the Lakewood applications. So he's coming right back on. He's in his car. He's coming right back into his house and going to go online. I'll let you know when he's on.
Okay.
And I've reviewed the plans. He did a fabulous job on the plans, but he will do a much better job explaining his plan than anybody else would.
So I guess then the only other question would be, depending on what he says, is for Mr. Kennel, if if there is a question, the kids that are going to be there, is there any thought at all that there's going to be any kind of busing for any of the residents of this building? And what would the impact of that be?
Oh, again, as Brian indicated, it's not expected that we'd have school-age children living on site. But should there be some, I would expect it to be a low number. And they have, if they have to be bused, then there's either going to be bus pickup on Route 88 or on East 2nd Street. That's something that's worked out with the Transportation Board.
It's not just a matter of transportation board, it's a matter of a location where they can be picked up and it should be safe. In many of these types of areas, there's just a local specialized area where kids can stand and wait. So it shouldn't be dangerous, especially as a parking lot and all of that. There should be something set aside.
Well, usually it's at a site frontage. Based on my experience, school buses generally don't go on a property. I mean, initially I would say, all right, have them come in off East 2nd Street, come down to Route 88 and make a right turn. But my experience is that is not a normal situation. And it's all based on what the Board of Ed or their transportation group developed based on what the expected demand is. I mean, it's based on what Brian had stated, I would think that there'd be a low number of school-age children in this building.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, just John Sirocco, I believe, is on now.
Yeah, I see.
Whenever
John
you're ready,
Sirocco
we
came up.
can swear him in. So.
Sure.
Sir, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth so help you God? I don't see you, but I'm going to presume you're there somewhere.
Yes, I do. Do you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Can you give us your full name and spell your last, Mr. Sirocco?
Sirocco, Saracco.
Thank you. Are you a licensed architect in New Jersey, sir?
Yes, I am.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Sirocco, I think the board had a couple questions regarding some of the things. Mr. Ribbiat had a question.
Yes. Yeah, I guess, Mr. Sirocco, just what in planning of this building, what was your thought in regards to having any area set aside for any children that would need to have an activity area, playground, and also any area for them for some type of bus pickup so that they shouldn't have to be standing either in a parking lot or in a place that would be unsafe? Was that thought into, or what was the thought as far as that goes?
Yeah, in fact, I would say it was almost primary concern of Mr. Tress. He was going after the market of young families with young children. We do a lot of multifamily, and I had to understand what the market he was going after. And he made it clear as day that he's going after the young up and coming families of Lakewood. And so if I can walk you through some of the particulars of how we address that, if you look at the site plan, drawing number 3 of 11, what we did was a primary design issue was to get the residential entrance and the drop-off and bus drop-offs and all kinds of transportation drop-offs off of 2nd Street. So at the top of the page, at the north end of the building, we provided a very generous turnaround right off the main residential lobby. That's really the primary entrance. We absolutely did not want the residential entrance off of Ocean Avenue. We thought that was an absolute non-starter. So we turned the building the other way. So now what we also did, if you can refer to drawing, the architectural drawings ZB 201, what you'll see here is that, well, let me start with ZB 200, which is the ground floor plan. And what this basically shows here is that a completely enclosed parking garage for all the residents. We have 228 cars for 99 units, a very generous parking ratio. On the right side, near the lower right-hand corner, you can see the residential lobby, which is the entrance off of the 2nd Street extension. And then we have a garage entrance right below that lobby. So many of the residents would be possibly dropping their kids off in the lobby or just driving into the parking garage. So we have elevators in the lobby. We have the package room, the mail room. And then spread out throughout the parking garage, we have 2 other elevator lobbies. So no one has to walk too far of a distance. So you'll see all the way on the left side next to Ocean Avenue, we have an elevator lobby there. And between that elevator lobby and the 2nd Street extension lobby, we have another elevator lobby in the middle of the building. We also provide bicycle storage in the garage floor, and we have our management office support services and a supers apartment on the top of the page of ZB 200. So the site plan, the parking, and the orientation, how people get in and out of this building is basically oriented primarily towards the 2nd Street extension. When we get to the first floor plan, the first residential floor plan, which is ZB 201, this is the level immediately above the parking garage. All the way on the lower right-hand corner, you see the 2 main elevators. Right in front of those elevators, we have open to below. That's basically the upper portion of a 2-story high lobby from below. Behind the 2 elevators, we have a very generous recreation room that opens up to one of the 3 common terraces. So behind that, to the left of that recreation room, you'll see a very generous common terrace. That's basically the roof of the parking garage. So this, when you go all the way to the upper right-hand corner of this common terrace, that's a parapet wall. That's basically a story above the railroad tracks.
Excuse me one quick second. May I ask a quick question? Is the common terrace open all the way? Is that open on the outside terrace?
Yes, that's open to the side.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's open to the side.
That's a fresh air terrace then.
Yeah, so when you're standing in that terrace, the left, bottom, and right sides of that terrace, you're going to see a 3-story building. Okay. Then when you walk down that long corridor going left and right along the bottom of the page, there's another elevator to the left that we have an area called stroller storage. This is an extremely young family friendly apartment building. And there's an elevator there. That's one of our middle elevators. And then there's a door behind that elevator that goes out to a larger common terrace. And again, this common terrace is a floor above the railroad tracks. You can't access this terrace from the driveway, from the terrace. The only way you could access these terraces is from this floor plan. To the left of this common terrace, we have a gym, and then we have a door going to our 3rd elevator. To the left of this 3rd elevator, we have a large social hall, and that social hall, on top of the social hall, you could see our 3rd common terrace. And again, this common terrace overlooks Ocean Avenue, thinking of Brooklyn, Ocean Avenue. And again, you can't access this common terrace nor the other 2 from street level, from the railroads, from Ocean, nothing. If we look at this lower left-hand corner of this drawing, we're going to see a social hall. We have a gym. We have a business center. We have common bathrooms, and we have a shul. This is all intended for the services of the tenants of the building, of the 99 apartments. The apartments are, well, I'll walk you through them. We feel they are generous in size. They're not overly generous in size, but they're generous. But at the same time, to put a piece of gym equipment in these apartments would be overbearing. So we're providing a gym. The social hall is for whatever functions come up during the course of the children's lives, the parents' lives. They have a social hall right in their building, and the shul really doesn't need much explanation. And the business center is really for the new lifestyle we're living in, where so many people are working from home, and sometimes the home environment isn't 100% ideal. People can run downstairs to a business center where they have office equipment, they have conference rooms, they have a little pantry. If somebody wants to visit them, they don't have to come up to the apartment. They can come to the business center. Now, what we did do, if we go back to page 200, on Ocean Avenue, you'll see a lobby on the left side of the drawing. And that lobby is really just for some guests that might be going to a birthday party in the social hall, or they might be visiting somebody in the business center. So that's a entrance on Ocean for whatever guests might be meandering in. The primary entrance is off of the 5th Street extension. When we go to the 3rd floor, it's just all the apartments. Again, we cut out additional common terraces on each of the 3 wings that are open to the sky. And if we go to ZB 205, I can walk you through the apartment types we have. Starting on the lower left-hand corner, we have a conventional 1-bedroom unit. You could see the furniture layout, 800 square feet. It's a comfortable bedroom apartment. Almost all of the apartments have balconies. Immediately to the right of that is a conventional 2-bedroom, 1,100 and roughly 60 square foot 2-bedroom apartment. All the apartments have their own washer dryer, their own hot water heating, a full kitchen, and the 2 bedrooms have 2 baths, one in the master suite and one in the hallway for the 2nd bathroom. When we go to the apartments on the other side of the corridor, on the upper portion of the page, we have 2 types. We have a 1-bedroom that has a small children's room off of the 1-bedroom, and we provided 2 doors, one off of the bedroom and one off of the corridor. And again, this is catering to the young up-and-coming couple with the child. Again, we have the washer dryer, a generous kitchen, a balcony. Immediately to the right of that unit is a 1-bedroom with a study, which doesn't have a window. So, to answer your question, I believe Mr. Tress went extremely out of his way, more than most clients that I work with, to address the social family needs of the demographics that he's going after, which are the young couples.
Mr. Rocco? I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry, Adam. Just one quick question on ZB 200. All the way in the top left corner, I see that there is a retail space of 4,500 square feet. Could you describe what that's for?
That's maybe Chaim might want to step in, but that was since changed, and I'm not sure which drawings. I think there was a lack of communication.
There's no retail being proposed.
Yeah, there's no retail. That's going to be a management office. It's a large facility. We feel we're going to need a lot of management, and there'll be support services to address all the social services on the first residential floor.
Judah, that's solely going to be for the management of the building, any employees of the building. There's no outside rental of any other use.
Correct, correct.
4,500 square feet for the management?
Well, it's basically management and support services. We think that there's going to, considering what's going on the floor upstairs, we believe there's going to be quite a bit of support needed for that.
So that's 4,500 square feet for the management of this building, plus an apartment downstairs in the garage?
For the super.
For the super.
Okay, 4,500 square feet. Is that the Mr. Tress's office, or that's
There's not as again, it's solely for it could be in the resolution. There's nothing else going on there but office use solely for this building.
Mr. Sirocco?
Yes.
Is there, I think that, it's a masterful piece. It's very impressive what you put together here. The common area, the area that you have here, the open space area, is there any plan to put any type of items for children to play in, whatever kids there are going to be kids there, something like some type of recreational, like you have a gym, the common terrace, any kind of toys, a seesaw, a playground of any kind? Is there any talk about that?
No, there is no way there won't be any. Let's put it that way. So these courtyards are 53 foot wide. One of them is, 170, 180 feet long, depending on where you measure to. The other one is 80 feet long. These are large courtyards, plenty of room for playground. Mr. Tress was very happy that we had at least two of them, so there could be activities for the boys and activities for the girls. So all that will be part of the management provided services, all these playground equipment things.
Mr. Sirocco,
We didn't show them, no. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Mr. Sirocco, earlier on in the evening, there was some question about the location of the trash enclosure. Can you kind of just briefly discuss it? There was some discussion why they were there and how they were going to get picked up.
Sure. So if you go to like the second floor plan, ZB 202, you're going to see, I didn't label it on this drawing. Let me go to a different plan. Hold on. It wasn't labeled. Okay. If you go to ZB 201, to the left of the main elevators, we have a janitor, we have a recreation room, then we have a janitor's closet, and we have a trash room. And in that trash room, you could see two circles. That's a refuge trash chute and a recyclable trash chute that goes down to the garage level. And then we have another one all the way at the left side of the building. We have another trash room. And those those four trash chutes go down. If we go back to the parking garage level, you'll see we have two trash rooms kind of towards the bottom of the building, two large trash rooms. Those trash rooms will have compactors in them. So the trash comes down the chute. There'll be two chutes, one for recyclables, one for trash. They come down the chutes into compactors. They get compacted. Then depending on how often the garbage service will come, if it's 2-3 times a week, whatever it is, the super will wheel out those compacted bundles out to the trash area behind our mechanical room shown on the site plan. And then the garbage truck will pull into that area there. If that answers your question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, those are our witnesses.
Okay. It's 9:38 right now. I said we're going to take this meeting for about an hour and a half, which is around now. First of all, I'd like to take a break for a couple of minutes. And when we come back, I want everyone to think about if we should continue this and finish it up, because we're getting ready to the public segment of tonight's meeting. and then out for a final motion and discussion. So let's take a break for 10 minutes and let's come back and decide if we're going to close the night or move forward.
Abe, is this approval site and?
Yes, it's everything. Okay? Okay. We'll be back in a few minutes. Take care, guys. Hello. I really do, but it's gonna drag out much longer than, you know, I don't want. I wanna get over the public comments, you know, but I have to see how that's gonna go. You know, if it's gonna go past public comments, because most of them are letters, fine, but if people wanna start speaking, then it's gonna go on forever and ever. Yeah, he did a masterful job. It's a beautiful building, no question about it. You know what I'm saying? It's a very thought out process. Oh, 100% a lot neater. It's a lot more, it's a lot beautiful. The building is a lot nicer. It's a lot, hold on, I'm crazy. 1 second.
Hey, why don't you mute yourself?
Okay, Abe, let's get started.
Okay, guys, we're back. Is everyone back on? I see Moish, I see Mayor, Moish, Naftali. Where's Adam? Is Morty Gross around? Judah?
He's here.
Judah, are you on? Judah?
I'm here.
You're there, okay. So is everyone on? I guess so, right? I got my Shingba, I got Naftali. Naftali?
Yes.
Yes, there you are, you're at the bottom, okay. I have Naftali, Judah. Okay, everyone's back. Okay, Franny?
Yes.
A quick question for you. Can you see how many people are on the phone that want to speak? And are there any emails coming? Did you get any new emails coming in?
There's about 35 emails.
Okay.
How do you?
Hold. I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Before we get to the emails, how many people do we have on the phone that want to speak? Now, when I say want to speak, I would like to ask everyone to please mitigate whatever they want to say to 1 or 2 sentences if they have something to say, and if they just want to say they are opposed, I believe everyone that's on the phone are opposed. I'm trying to figure out if we should call it for the night or if we should table it till March 1st. What do you guys think?
Abe?
Yes.
I think we should open to the public, then close it.
How are you going to do that?
How many do you have? Is it going to be more than a half hour, the public?
I would like to say 15 minutes to the public, because if the public just want to say they're opposed it, they can just send in an email to zoning board comments at lakewoodnj.gov, and we'll see your email. If they have something to add why they're not, they can either stay on the line or send it in an email. But just to say we're opposed to it, please do that in writing.
I'm not ready to vote on this application tonight. if
What'd
that
you
makes
say?
a difference.
What'd you say?
I prefer not to vote on this application tonight, if that's
Why is that?
agreeable.
And why is that?
Because I need to mull it over. It's an interesting application. I originally thought that I was gonna vote, I didn't like the application, but, after their testimony and the case and listening to the architect's, testimony, I would like to think about it overnight.
Okay. Okay.
Excuse me, Chairman, is Morty Gross on? I don't see Morty Gross.
I asked before, he announced himself before, didn't I?
Is Morty Gross on?
He didn't answer.
Morty is on.
Morty is
Oh,
on.
he's on? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just shutting my video off because it keeps on jamming up.
Okay. Okay.
Morty, you're better looking this way anyways.
It's fine. Some of us need to be seen twice on the same screen, Jerry, and some of us don't have to be seen at all.
Okay. So that's the case. Does anyone want to call this? Let me start like this. Let's start like this. Judah, what do you think? You want to call it a night?
At this point, I'm ready to move forward on this.
Good. Morty.
I definitely hear what that Moshe is saying. I do like the idea of the public's been waiting for it, let them speak and then close it afterwards.
Okay. Ingba.
Either way is fine with me.
Either way, it's fine with you. Okay, so I'm getting the feeling, but one thing I can tell you that once we finish the public speaking, we're up to a motion. I would like to go for the motion. I don't want to stop right in front of a motion. Moshe, you were on mute, but I got your message. I saw your mouth. Okay. Okay, if that's the case, we're going to open up to the public now, and we're going to put a timeline on it. It's 10 o'clock. I don't want to go too long on it. And just, if anyone has something to say, please say it. Jason, if you're there.
Before you do that, are we going to hear the next appeal, the 4167, or do you want to carry that now?
I'm not gonna, we'll talk about it later. Jason, co-host Jason, if you're on there, if you can just help me out over here navigating these phone calls, I greatly appreciate it. Okay?
Abe, Samantha, I unmuted
Oh,
them all,
Amanda.
gave you permission to unmute them all. They can unmute themselves if they want.
I'm sorry, Amanda, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
They can unmute themselves if they want to speak. I allowed them to unmute themselves.
Okay, fine. So how are you gonna do this? You just want to announce the ones that I see unmute?
I see a 5-9 number unmuted.
I see a 5-9 number unmuted. Go, 5-9. Last two digits, 5-9. Oops, he's muted again. 0-1,
An
last two
01
digits.
number?
Yeah, 0-1 number.
Yes, I am 01. I would like to speak.
Go ahead. And
Laura, you have to agree to, let me affirm you, please. Just a moment, please.
Wait.
Do you affirm to tell the whole truth?
Yes.
All right, give us your full name, spell your last, please.
And address.
Joseph Schustel is my legal name. Schustal.
Thank you.
What is your address, sir?
Can I talk now?
No, your address.
I'm sorry? My address is 12 Midtown Circle.
Okay.
Go ahead. And
I would like to preface my remarks by
keep it
pointing out
short.
that this is the fourth scheduled hearing regarding this proposal. The fourth. This is the fourth time I'm attending this meeting. At the previous 3 meetings, many of my neighbors came in person to show the concern regarding this proposal. But tonight, because of technological limitations, very few are able to participate. In ordinary times, there would be many more neighbors commenting, and I ask you to take that into consideration, and I thank you for your understanding.
Thank you.
With regards to this specific proposal, really there are multiple reasons for this variance request to be rejected. Multiple compelling reasons. And many of these concerns have been expressed in the numerous emails the board has received, be it safety, congestion, or quality of life. But this evening I'll focus on just one of the concerns. Zoning codes are intended to protect both the public and the individual from many different hazards that may and do arise from new projects and development in the surrounding area. One of the basic codes are setbacks, and the obvious need for this is to ensure that an adjoining property cannot build a 50-foot building right up to your property line. In this case, the applicant is not asking for a variance. The applicant is asking to build a 50-foot building literally up to my property line. Put simply, the developer is requesting that the rules not apply to him. I beg you, I implore you, please don't allow one man's profit to take away another man's property. Don't allow an individual's greed triumph the public's good, because that's what it is. It's greed and profit. All I ask is that you vote to uphold the rule of law for all. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can we just respond to that real quickly? Just on the setback variance.
Chairman, let's go to the whole public. Adam, finish at the end.
That's fine. Understood. Thank you.
I think you've already received an email from Joseph Schuftel.
Okay.
Already have one on that.
Okay. Anyone else want to say something? Please unmute. I don't see anyone unmuted.
I mentioned quite a number of other issues on the email.
Excuse me.
I just did not want to take up your time on the phone.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Please disconnect, okay, so we can make room for others. Anyone else? If anyone wants to say something, please unmute. I don't see anyone unmuting. Amanda, are you giving them the right to unmute?
Yes, they all have the right to unmute themselves.
Okay, so I don't see anyone unmuted, so that means we're gonna.
No, there is 6-1. Mention the last one, the phone numbers.
I don't see an unmuted number.
I don't either.
Chairman, the record should also reflect, excuse me, Fran, the record should also reflect that when the zoning office gets a letter either in favor or against the application, and there were both sides on this one, all of those letters go to the zoning board members ahead of time so that they can review them, and all of them are on file in Fran's office. In case
correct. We saw them all. Correct.
I've
Okay.
received more since you've gotten them.
1 second, Franny, 1 second. Let me just finish up with the phone calls. Okay. Amanda, do we see anyone unmuting? We're not seeing anyone unmuting. We're gonna put phone calls on hold right now, and we go to Franny's to the letter. Franny, now let's talk about the letters.
I have about 28 objecting applications. Now, I
Okay.
do have about 5 or 6 or 7 here, didn't get through them all, that are in favor of it, but only, we just did this one, only with the consideration of putting a crosswalk and traffic light by Monmouth Railroad Road and 88. Possible to put 2 lights, one by Monmouth and one by the new building. This one is to urge you to approve the building with 99 apartments. Traffic will need to be addressed, whether it's an office building or residential. They think it needs to be done with lights and crosswalks. Will
Okay.
be an asset. And
Franny.
of course,
Franny, I don't need to read all the letters. Only if you see something different besides we're in favor for it.
well,
Are
that
they-
was,
and
that was different.
give me 1 second. And are they all neighborhood people?
Yes.
They're all neighborhood
tell you
people.
Everybody on Midtown Circle is objecting. The gentleman that
Okay.
just spoke.
Any special reason why they're objecting besides they're on Midtown?
Well, that's the most impacted development.
And they're the ones,
Right on the side.
anything besides the building that they don't want?
Chairman, I would recommend that you not ask Ms. Siegel to characterize the letters, you know, because, I mean, you've all had an opportunity to review them, you've all reviewed them. So you know what they say, and they're all on file, but if she starts, the question is, well, what does that person mean? That's not gonna help out.
Got it. Okay, no, I just wanted to hear if anyone has anything besides we don't want it because it's in my backyard. You know, if there's any other things. Yes, Mayor, go ahead.
Number 85, just.
I saw that, but I'm in the middle of letters right now. Franny. Okay, so what's the total over there? How many objector letters do we have?
Looks like 28 and 6 in favor, which I just received the last couple of hours, and I don't know if you have them all.
Okay, I saw a number of them that were in favor. You did send them out to everyone, and I saw that. Okay, fine. Number 85, last 2 digits 85. Phone number 732, 80, last 2 digits 85. Please speak up. Hello? I guess he's not there. Okay.
Chairman, I would recommend you close as a public. You've given everyone more than
exactly.
anyone else to.
Correct. So, okay. So I don't see any more. Let me just quickly brush through them again. I don't see anyone else unmuted. I don't see anyone else unmuted. So we're going to close it to the public. We all got the gist of the letters, what they want. That's 28 against, 6 in favor. So let's move forward.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just say a couple words.
Yes. Now sum up.
First,
Just for the record, we are closed to the public. Go ahead.
As far as your count as to, you know, the letters in favor and letters against, I know usually we don't, you know, count hands here, but I want to point out that almost all of these objection letters, so I'm aware of, are from one development. They don't really have any real, anything real to say about the application. What we have put forward with our professionals this evening, we've shown you that this use is less intense than many of the other permitted uses. We could have residential here. There could be a lot more families, a lot more bedrooms, and a lot more cars, a lot more traffic. But we're not proposing that. We're proposing a use that fits for this downtown area. We've given our professional testimony to show all the benefits that we're bringing here, and they outweigh the negatives. Yes, there's traffic, but no matter what happens, there's traffic. We know that. We know where we are. But this is a less intense use than any of the other ones. The advantages here have been put on the record, and we would just ask that we take this into consideration and vote in favor of this application.
Now, Adam, I cut you off before. You wanted to say something about that other objector that spoke.
Yeah, he lives in Midtown Circle. He's talking about that you're building next to his property. I mean, the property next door is not Midtown Circle.
I know a lot of them have multiple.
Franny,
actually,
if you want to speak on the phone, put yourself on mute.
Chaim Abadi is calling me.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. What else is new?
Well, what he's trying to tell me is some of the applications have a list of a lot of other names, so it would be more. But there is one favor with a list of names, and there are objections
forget
with
about
the list of names.
Wonderful. I love it very much. But please put yourself on mute and continue talking.
Okay, now I'm hanging up on him.
Good. You do that. It won't be the first time and not the last.
Right.
Okay, go ahead. Adam, continue what you're saying. Mayor, 1 minute.
I lost my train of thought. Anyway, I believe that the application that we put forward here is a strong application. It's a beautiful building. It's gonna increase the neighborhood. You were asking about the neighboring property owner. I represent the other property owner who's at that building, and he's in favor of this. He has no objection. We believe this is a very good application for this area. It's going to change the whole area, the look of it, the feel of it. It's going to be good. It's not going to change anything that couldn't already be there already.
Thank you. Mayor, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Adam, just going through some of the letters that came in the emails the last few days, one of the concerns was about the safety. Do you know what they're referring to when it talks about safety, where the traffic?
I don't know. As far as traffic, there's traffic safety. And we've addressed that. As far as safety for them, I don't know how this apartment building is going to cause harm to the residents of Midtown Circle. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Okay. I've heard everyone. Now, I guess the open public session went a lot faster than I thought it would. And therefore, I'm just going to ask for a motion.
Okay, to the chairman.
Mr. Chairman, would you like me to?
1 minute. Jerry.
Adam, sorry, Jerry. Any tax abatements were being requested here? Because the last time a building was approved, they put on the record no tax abatements, and then they, 2 years later, they got a tax abatement. We want some sort of ratables involved there.
Of any application that can be made at this time.
Could you repeat that, Adam? I'm sorry.
At this time, I'm unaware of any application that can be made.
So is that a yes or no? You want to put something on the record?
Excuse me one second.
Mr. Dusty, also, will you put the taxes paid?
Chairman,
Jerry, what do you want to say?
Go ahead, Fran. Please finish up, and then I'll try to sum up what your chairman usually asks me to sum up the application.
Put something.
Make sure that the taxes are paid as a condition of the resolution.
I'm sorry.
If a tax abatement was going to be asked for at any time in the future.
That's different than what I'm saying.
Right.
Moish, I'll answer that.
Everybody is trying to talk also.
Now wait a minute.
Will not ask for a tax abatement.
Here, no tax abatement.
No tax abatement. Good. Thank you.
There you go, Mo.
Can everyone please put themselves on mute if you're not speaking? Thank you. I'm going to ask, before I give Jerry the mic to sum up, does anyone else want to say something?
I want to say something, but I'm ready to make a motion also.
So then you have to wait till Jerry sums up.
Mr. Chairman, if you can, I was motioning earlier. We were a little vague about.
I can't hear you, Mike. Speak up.
They were a little vague about the getting rid of or eliminating the train tracks. There should be some paperwork on file. Is there a setback? Do they have?
They can't eliminate the train tracks. They can eliminate that extra spur that comes into the property because that's a private spur. That's what they could eliminate, but they cannot eliminate the train tracks.
Are they going to have to, as part of the approval, are they going to have to get a letter?
Yes.
The letter of the condition of Moish is that they either get Conrail approval or they prove that Conrail has no jurisdiction. I have to tell you, I've negotiated with Conrail in other towns. Good luck. They don't give up any.
Good luck.
But that's up to them. That's their problem. The train tracks might very well stay there.
And just to be
They
clear,
don't give up a darn thing.
it's a small piece.
Have them? Have they reached out to them to see if?
Moish, it's irrelevant at this point if they did or they didn't. That's part of the approval. Okay.
Can I, Mr. Chairman?
Mayor.
And a few minutes ago, suddenly there was a conversation about taxes, ratables, abatements, and so like it was just swept under the rug. There's no reason why they shouldn't be able to apply for abatement on taxes, and eventually it's going to pay. But in the meantime, for construction purposes, that's a normal standard procedure, is people get tax abated. So there will always be a rateable down the road. If it's going to be 2 years, 5 years, whatever it's going to be, there'll be taxes. But
Mr. Gelly, you're correct. We cannot, as this piggybacks on the application that we had earlier. We can't approve or disapprove an application based on taxes or no taxes. That's something for the township committee to decide in their discretion. So you're right.
Okay. I would like to ask Abraham.
Yeah, I'll just make a comment and then we'll decide if anybody wants to make a motion or not.
Well, before you do that, because I need to ask Jerry to sum up the application before we make a motion.
Yeah, I'm not making a motion. No motion.
Okay.
I just want to say that the plan, I think the plan is a beautiful plan, but I'm still not convinced it's the right place to do it. I see way too many variances going on that I'm not convinced about. I think that the traffic was not convincing. I think that is a very, very aggressive. I think they presented B4 plans. Every time they talk about a B4 that is going to create more traffic than what's supposed to be doing, there's other alternatives. That's not the only ones. They're only proposing the things that create more traffic. But there are alternatives that do not create so much traffic. I'm not convinced that this project, I think, is way too aggressive for this corridor.
Okay.
99 apartments is too much.
Okay. Avram, thank you. Jerry, can you please sum up what you wanted to say before? And Mayor, put yourself on mute. Moshe Ingber, put yourself on mute. Mori Gross, put yourself on mute. Avram, put yourself on mute so that I can hear Jerry. Go ahead.
This is an application for 99 residential units, 4 floors. The first floor would be garage level, and then 3 floors of residential level. There's a total of 37 one-beds, and they're divided up into different ways. I'll get it to you in a second, and 62 two-beds. We all know multifamily in the B4 zone is not permitted, so that's the use variance. If approved, and I also agree with, I think it was Mr. Riviere, that architectural plans were excellent, I'm telling you. But if approved, the social hall would have about 2,900 square feet on the first floor. The shul would be about 3,400 square feet. The business center is 1,450 square feet, and that's sort of what I refer to as an IT room. You can go down there and bring your laptop and get some work done. The gym is 1,200. The recreation room is 1,275. This is an old lumber yard, which is deteriorated over many years. There was A1 and A2 entered into evidence. I think it's important to emphasize that the parking spaces require 209, and there's going to be 252 spaces. So if there's 99 units, even if everybody had 2 cars, that's 198. There is still 50 or 55 parking spaces left over, assuming everybody has 2 cars for an apartment. And you can decide whether that's true. It is close to the bus station, which is good in terms of the number of parking spaces. It's close to town hall. I'm reciting the evidence that you have. It's close to town hall, not town hall, both town hall and town center, which is helpful in terms of a walking neighborhood, so to speak. The uncontroverted expert testimony is that this will blend into the neighborhood. It'll help the neighborhood because it'll generate some better use of the property. It's in compliance with the goals of the 2017 master plan in terms of housing stock and smart growth principles. There will be a range of housing alternatives, which is called for in the master plan, and will encourage new utilization of underused sites, which is also in the master plan. It complies with the goals of the New Jersey Municipal Land Use Law at 40:55 capital D-2. Mr. Flannery has testified uncontroverted expert testimony that this complies with the bulk variance requirements. The benefits to the neighborhood and the zone plan greatly exceed any detriments. The D variance requirement, he testified that there are special reasons this will improve the public good and welfare. It's a very good location along a major state highway, and that he testified there would be no adverse impact to the neighborhood, and certainly the impact in the neighborhood would be more of a positive than a negative. There would be 1 parking unit assigned for each unit, so there'd be 99 parking units assigned. Conrail, because of the railroad tracks, the condition of approval would be that Conrail would either get approved to remove the railroad tracks.
Can I say something as a neighbor?
No, public is closed, sir.
Why?
Conrail would have either, I don't know who that is, but Conrail would have to give.
Amanda, can you please mute everyone from the public? Thank you.
Or,
thank you.
Conrail would have to be, the proof would have to be provided, Conrail has no jurisdiction to do so. The applicant agrees to comply with all plat detail requirements in the October 22nd review letter from Terry Vogt. We went a few times about the trash. As a result of the architect's testimony, there's going to be 4 trash chutes on 2 on each side of the property of the complex. They would empty into 2. The 4 chutes would empty into 2 large trash rooms on the basement and the garage area. They would have compactors which will compact the recycling and the solid waste, and then the superintendent or the staff would wheel those things out to to the curb for the pickup. There's been testimony that there would be less beds on these 99 units than there would be if townhouses were approved with basements, so that you would probably have, if 25 townhouses, you'd have 50 living units and 50. Somebody said 200. I think you'd have more than 200 bedrooms for 50 townhouses, but whatever it would be. Duplexes are the same way. There would be more bedrooms in the number of duplexes which would be permitted than there are if this 99 unit bedroom is approved. The testimony was that other allowed uses, permitted uses in the B4 zone would generate more traffic and require more parking spaces than this non-conforming 99 unit complex. The bedroom breakout is there's 11 one bedroom with a children room, that's 938 square feet. 1 bedroom with a study, there's 10 of those at 964 feet. There's one with just 1 bedroom, there's 16 of those, 802 square feet. And there's 62 2 bedrooms, which are 1,169 square feet. There's a total of 257,918 square feet for the building, including the garage. There were some questions of the architect, Mr. Sirocco, concerning the play area for the kids and also safety in terms of bus area. He said that speaking with the developer, there was specific intent to gear this project towards young families. There will be a play area for young children. There's a bus area, a safety area for kids to get picked up at school bus. There's a drop-off area for kids in the lobby. There's a bicycle storage area in the basement. There's 3 common area terraces. There's large courtyards, which there'll be a large one for the boys, large one for the girls, and there'll also be one for smaller kids with smaller kids' playthings. Originally, there was thought of having a retail space. There will not be. The condition of approval would be no retail on the property. What was initially designated as a retail area would be the management office and the support service. And there'll be an apartment for the superintendent in the garage. I think that's, and there's, I know at this point, no request for tax abatement for what it's worth. The board must keep in mind that the only expert testimony we've received is uncontroverted. That doesn't mean it's a guarantee, but I think there is weight to the argument or discussion that the only expert testimony you have is from Mr. Kennel, Mr. Kachuba, and Mr. Flannery, and the architect, Mr. Soroka. So that's something that you have to keep in mind. Your charge is to determine in terms of benefit to the area. I always like to think, what else could there be there? So you got to think about that. What else? This is a B4 zone, which would allow a shopping center. And I think Mr. Flannery ticked off the other permitted uses, all of which would require more parking spaces. And one can argue whether or not to be a higher traffic generation than what's being proposed. Mr. Kendall provided testimony and a very detailed report. His traffic count was taken about 2 years ago. One would argue first that that was pre-COVID, so that might be more legitimate traffic count because in the last year or so, either because they lost their job or whatever, not as many people are on driving to and from work. But as Mr. Langkry said, the question that may or may not have been the correct hours to determine the number of cars on Route 88. So that's your call. But I think it's important that you have to keep in mind many times when we have big applications like this, the objectors hire an attorney and or an expert to counter the applicant's expert. And you hear that tonight. Now, but it's still your call. So I think that sums up the application. I think it's important that the parking spaces are at least 50 to 60 more than what is required. And even if every unit has 2 cars, and I don't know that would happen, there's still like 60 car spaces left over and above that to get to the 250 something. So there you are. That's my attempt to sum up.
Thank you. Thank you. With having said that, I would like to ask fellow board members to put a motion based on what you just heard from Jerry, and we'll see where we go.
You
So
need
with that,
5, don't forget, you need 5 to...
5 affirmative votes, one way or the other. Correct. With that, I move forward
Jerry.
for a motion. Morty, you're on mute, and Moshe speaking. Go ahead.
Through the chair. Jerry, first of all, that was super impressive that you went through the whole application like that with my short-term memory.
Those blind squirrels, they can find the nuts a couple times a year.
All the nuts are in this basket right now.
Okay, so let's have a motion.
But one question, I didn't hear anything about, we talked about the parking spaces, the synagogue, the party room, and the business center. Are those strictly for the people in the building, or they can?
Yeah, we was discussed. I did ask it. I personally asked that question, and it was said it was strictly for the building. It's not going to be for rented people outside.
That means so the parking is adequate for because if it's for the people on the outside, the parking wouldn't be adequate.
Yeah, it's a good point, and the chairman did ask that, and that's correct. The condition of approval would be it's restricted those offices and places.
The office, the gym, the recreation, the social hall, the synagogue will not be rented to outside. All on-site people only.
Yep.
Okay. Who wants to make a motion? Yes, Morty Gross. Morty Gross.
One quick question. Is there anything, does anybody know, I wasn't sure if this was mentioned, does anybody know anything about a traffic light by Railroad Avenue?
No, I don't know anything about that.
Is Mr. Cannell still on?
Some of the comments mentioned it.
If Mr. Cannell's still on, he might know that one is coming.
What the comment was that somebody is approving, somebody from the public said that he would like to have approved this application on condition that they put a traffic light at that corner. But that's as far as it went.
Yeah.
Not that it's coming or not. Okay?
Can I say
Scott,
something?
do you know anything about it?
No. Chaim, no. Sorry. Okay. Can I have a motion? What did you say? I'm sorry, Morty. Did you say something?
No, Scott's on it. Does he know anything about it? If there is any plans?
I don't think he tested that. That was raised while he was testifying, Mr. Gross. I don't think he knows it.
He's here.
I'm not aware of any plans to signalize.
Okay.
That is
What did you say, Mr. Campbell?
He's not aware of anything.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. A motion. Can I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, I have a motion from Mayor Gelli to approve. Can I have a second?
Second.
Who's that?
Judah.
Judah Ribbiat, second. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Gelli,
Yes.
Mr. Langley,
I'm still thinking.
Mr. Naftali,
No.
Mr. Ribbiat,
Yes.
Mr. Inger, Mr. Gross.
I'm also still thinking.
Okay, let's go back
What
to
did
Mr.
Mr. Ingber say? I didn't hear.
Wait,
Still,
let's go back. 1 minute, let's go back to Mr. Langley.
I don't think that fast.
Okay, Mr. Ingber,
I'm with Mr. Langkry. What's
Mr.
We're the
Gross,
slow thinkers.
I'm also with Mr. Langley. I think I need to think
All right, wait a
about this
minute.
over some pizza.
All right, let's one, Mr. Halbert.
No. I'm always the last one. No.
Is that a no?
No, chairman
No.
votes last, Fran. We
No.
didn't need to hear from the other applicants, the other members first.
So we need a Mr. Langley, a Mr. Ingber, and a Mr. Gross.
Yes, that's correct.
1 second. What happened? Oh, yes. Forget it.
Chairman, gentlemen, somebody's paying me by the hour. Now, you've been doing this for a while, so let's figure this out.
And we
Let's move
never
it along
carried 4167.
Okay.
Mr. Langley, come on, we're on.
Mr. Langley,
Right down the middle.
we're changing the recipe on the pizza. Can you make a decision? Yes or no?
Change the recipe? That's a definite no.
Okay, so there you go.
Okay, Mr. Ingber, he said no.
No, he didn't say no. He did not say no.
Wait,
He said he did not change the recipe on the pizza.
Okay, Mr. Langley, come on, keep on. Yes or no?
I'm having technical difficulty.
You're in the basement. Morty, want to take a stab at it, Morty?
But Mr. Gross, somebody.
Who wants to take a
I'll tell
stab
you,
at it?
I just it concerns me. The traffic situation concerns me. I drive by there all the time. I don't know. Everything else I love about this.
It's a nice project. I think the traffic engineer's report is outdated.
So is it we just need yes or no. That's all we need right now.
I need Langley, Ingber, and Gross. Somebody say something.
We're on strike till next month.
I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to say that with that, I'm not happy with the traffic report.
It's either yes or no.
It's either yes or no.
Ingber, yes or no?
Yes.
Gross.
Okay.
Langley.
My mother used to scream at me all the time. I'm not afraid for it.
Jerry, I think they're all having a problem with their nuts.
I mean, the 2-year-old traffic study bothers me. I'm going to say no.
Okay, here we go, Mr. Langley.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay, 1 minute. I got to change you. All right.
Get the drum rolls. And I'm going to say yes.
Hey, two. One,
It's approved 5-2.
5 yes, 2 no's. The 2 no's are not Powling and Gross.
Okay, I just want to say one thing before we close. I think when I went into this application, I wasn't gonna go for it. The compelling evidence that I saw, first of all, the design building was a magnificent building. I don't think Lakewood has any building like this in the whole entire town. Number one. Number two, based on what we heard on what other uses can come onto the site, the traffic amount will be exactly the same amount. Besides, maybe the lumberyard, if they bring it back there, it won't bring it in. But if you have any shopping center, townhouses, a shul, another yeshiva, you're gonna have the same mess and the same things going on. And I just fell in love with the building, and I think the building is just a magnificent artwork and an art piece, and how the architect took into account every detail that it should work 100%, and that's why I figured we'll go for it. Everyone, I thank you all for your night.
Chair, one thing I have to
all your hard work.
for the
You got
public.
4167. I'm sorry.
1 minute, 1 second.
Just a moment.
Jerry.
On this application, I know there was a discussion about the payment of taxes not being current. There will be a condition in this approval, and frankly, in all approvals in the future, all taxes must be brought current within 60 days. And that'll be in this resolution tonight.
It's 6 days from when? From tonight or for
From when it's
mobilization?
memorialized. So 60, theoretically, 90 days from now, but 60 days from the date of the
And if taxes are not brought up to snuff within 60 days, what happens? What's the penalty? What happens
It's a
then?
condition of approval.
Approval falls away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing.
Yes,
One more thing,
Moshe.
Adam and Terry, I know I voted yes, which took a little while to come out of my mouth, but could you try to see if there's anything you can do to minimize the impact to those objectors that were in that one complex? Can
Midtown
you
Circle.
and the applicant is a good guy, and see if what you can do. I'm not asking you to change your building or anything, but see what you can do to appease those applicants.
That's a good point. If there's any room on their side, the other side, maybe they can landscape a little bit on their side. So.
You're talking about the Schnee Schuster one, the Schuster.
Yes, for the one that spoke, yes. Okay.
Thank you very
Fine.
much.
Having said that, let's move ahead and let's table field number, which field number is that over here?
4167, is anybody here?
167. Who's here for 4167?
Motion to approve it, to push it to March 1st.
Yeah, but who's here for it?
Wait,
Is
we
anyone
gotta
else?
find you. Jeffrey German.
Jeffrey German. Is anyone here for Jeffrey German?
There's nobody here. Oh,
I'm here.
Bill Stevens, are you here for Jeffrey German?
I am, yes.
Okay, we are tabling Jeffrey German 4167 to March 1st. The hour is late.
No further notice?
Correct.
Who's here? Oh, Bill Stevens.
Yes, Bill Stevens, with the waiver of time.
Agree to waive time.
Okay, fine. All in favor?
Aye.
What?
yes.
Aye.
Oh, all in favor? I didn't hear everyone say yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay,
Good.
now,
closed. Can I have
we
resolution
have one
4166?
resolution. We have one resolution.
Mordecai Eichhorn, all in favor?
Yeah.
Mordecai Ehrman, sorry, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Can I have a motion to pay bills?
Please,
Please.
please. I can't go home.
Okay.
Jerry wants to get paid.
Who wants to get paid?
Amen.
Okay, all in favor? Oh, Terry wants to get paid too. Terry, you're on pro boat tonight.
Okay. Good night.
Okay.
everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, mission night meeting closed. Thank you all. Have a wonderful night. Enjoy the snow. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. Bye.